Just make you lose faith in humanity? No, I don't lose personally. I don't lose faith in humanity. I don't know. I already know that there's stupid people out there. So I've already accepted that. That's fine. Honestly, like their opinions don't really matter that much. They're in the very, 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 very small minority here. The only reason we're doing this is because they're other creators and it's fun. And it would get a lot of clout. Like that's the real reason why this is happening. Some of the lies that they're pushing, some of the propaganda, understanding like the propaganda that they use and how to counter that's important there.
You're going to send him a link for troubleshooting. Make sure it's from RT so he knows he can trust you.
Hey, that's you have to fucking rely on censorship to combat RT's so-called misinformation. Why can't you actually point out concrete instances of that?
He's so mad.
Resort to censoring
you mean like when they use video game footage of like ongoing war activity?
Oh, you mean when the pro-Ukrainian sources did that when it came to the so-called Ghost of Kiev? What video game?
Pro-Ukrainian sources? You mean randos on Twitter as compared to the actual Russian state-funded, state-directed media? That's kind of the same thing, I think. It's kind of the same thing. You don't think the people who came up with the Ghost of Kiev myth were pro-Ukrainian?
He has no clue. The debate hasn't even started yet. He has no clue what they're talking about. Okay, that's good to know at least. Just so you know, if you guys didn't see what was going on, basically people were trying to pass off Arma 3 gameplay as fighting in Ukraine, which is insane.
Yeah,
go to the hentai section.
Do we need to do another mic check, or is it still okay?
I think we'll be good.
Okay.
I'm going to roll the dice. This is
they do have fun toys.
Almost got it set. Thanks for your patience.
Wait, Destiny, can you tell the joke again? Because everyone else here forgot to laugh. Go ahead.
Why didn't you have headphones in? So I wanted to make sure you caught it that time.
Shut the fuck up, little beta male.
Are you really going to let the Kremlin gremlin talk to me like this, James?
Called his ass the Kremlin gremlin. Holy shit. Can we take that? Can we use that? That is a Lamau what the fuck. Can we keep that? What is this? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think we should keep that. I think that's a good one. The Kremlin gremlin. He's so I mean, yeah. Destiny will be bullying him. This is true. I don't know. Haas can take it. I think Haas can take it. They're okay.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, Destiny. How about you stop your fucking pop?
Wait, look at Dinkle. Oh no, Dinkle's trying not to laugh. He's trying to look at him. He's doing he has to stretch out his mouth to make it look like he's not straight up smiling. Oh no, he can't be caught. He can't be caught laughing at his boy being called the Kremlin gremlin.
Okay, so when it comes to the formation of
Destiny's not a friend. I never considered the boy a friend, but I did eat Mexican tater tots with him, and I thought he was okay. I was able to speak to him for some time. I thought he was fine. I was mainly led around by Merrick. I saw him. I saw the back of his head. Many people have not seen this. I did see the back of his head. That's true.
This is the first context I want to establish. When it comes to the formation of military alliances, this actually extends beyond the bounds of the sovereignty within a state's own territory. Countries have an obligation to be cognizant of the geopolitical, geographic, and historical and civilizational realities that their own sovereignty is situated within. And this is specifically recognized by organizations like the OSCE, according to which, Ukraine being a member, one country, according to its founding document at least, one country's security cannot be strengthened at the expense of the security of another state. So what the OSCE establishes is that it's not just that states are just completely, totally free to just do whatever they want in terms of making security alliances and in terms of how they construct their militaries and position themselves geopolitically. There's a very delicate balance of power and security within Europe, and everyone who's committed to actually preserving long-term peace, which is what the OSCE is actually.
I want to make sure.
I don't know. This one's feeling
cognizant of the geopolitical, geographic. This actually extends beyond the bounds of the sovereignty within a state's own territory. Countries have an obligation to be cognizant of the geopolitical, geographic, and historical and civilizational realities that their own sovereignty is situated within. Okay. And this is specifically recognized by organizations like the OSCE, according to which, Ukraine being a member, one country, according to its founding document at least, one country's security cannot be strengthened at the expense of the security of another state. So what the OSCE establishes is that it's not just that states are just completely, totally free to just do whatever they want in terms of making security alliances and in terms of how they construct their militaries and position themselves geopolitically. There's a very delicate balance of power and security within Europe, and everyone who's committed to actually preserving long-term peace, which is what the OSCE is actually about, has to be recognize the fact that there needs to be a balance of security. There needs to be a security architecture that ensures that there is a fair distribution of security across the continent.
If true, okay, if we're gonna like roll off of this, then I think that strengthens Ukraine's position for wanting to join NATO. because obviously there's a severe lack of defense on the other side of the aisle when it comes to the West versus Russia and Ukraine, because Russia seems to have like near complete control over this area and over them, and they've been able to fucking annex them in parts of their country several times over the years. Why is this cam so bad? It's just like, I don't know. It's like asking why. I don't think he really cares, and it may be even a part of the style right now. It's kind of like asking why is Shoe on Head's camera so bad? It's kind of like part of the style.
When this balance is tipped in one direction or the other, it creates a situation of instability and geopolitical uncertainty, and leads to the conditions that ultimately could lead to war and to conflict. So one has to keep this in mind when one is bringing up the issue of the sovereignty of states. States should have a right to self-determination, and states should have the right to be sovereign, but they should also be cognizant of the geopolitical and geographic realities within which they reside, so as to not create circumstances that upset the balance of security and the security arc.
My brain is refusing to process whatever that guy's saying. Okay, basically, just a little wrap up for some other people. Basically, what he's saying is that states should have their ability to be sovereign, but you don't make your decisions in a vacuum. Your decisions are not in a vacuum. So when you do something to influence your security, you're going to influence other people's security. Typically, when you increase your security, as in you get a bigger military, you get bigger bombs and more planes or whatever, or you have different alliances depending on where you are, you're going to be affecting another group of people's security in some way, basically. And so he's saying like this is a justification. So so basically he's using this as a pretext to say it's NATO and Ukraine's fault for encroaching on Russia's space, because Russia should just be vibing, but Ukraine decided to do something as terrible as to look to the West after Russia's been trying to soak them up and destroy their country several times over, basically. So it's their fault. Just stop. Just crawl under Putin's boot, and then he promises he won't step on you. Also, Dark Bomb, thank you so much for these 7 months in a row. In these hard times, the Russian Federation needs your help more than ever. yeah, Caleb be like, Putin needs you.
So I'll give it to Jackson now.
Yeah, so the next point that I think is really important is to actually, and I would like to hear Dylan and Destiny respond to this when they talk, is to address when did this conflict begin, or if, war, when did this war begin? The war began, and they refused to call it a war. The Ukrainian government refused to call it a war for 8 years because they wanted to have IMF loans, and you can't give IMF loans to a country that's at war. But the war began after the 2014 coup.
Wait, is he asking them? Wait, so is he asking them like, he's asking them a question that he's going to be answering? Interesting. Said refresh the live map website. Putin wants to blow up the nuclear power plant. Why can't Jackson fix his stream? It's like the majority. He's always has a problem. I think the real issue is that he's using. I think the issue is because he's using what is it? Heckin' the virtual camera from Streamlabs OBS, and so he can't he can't do that. Basically, what's going to happen if he tries to take this away is that he won't be able to see anything, and they won't be able to see him. Real. It's really weird. Anyways,
that took place on the heels of the Maidan protest, which began, in all honesty, without U.S. backing. I mean, there was a plurality of people within Ukraine that were frustrated over the fact that, there was not going to be EU membership for Ukraine. And I guess there was going to be a delay in the decision. And those protests began. And then eventually they decided that they were not going to take the unfair, deal that the EU offered them. They knew that these neoliberal policies that would be inflicted upon them, the EU deal would have hurt them much more than opening up trade partnerships more with Russia would have helped them. So upon these protests, the U.S., began to infiltrate the movement. U.S. politicians began, working with agencies on the ground, U.S. front agencies on the ground, like the National Endowment for Democracy. Victoria Nuland even boasted about the fact that, they funneled
Yeah, I'll show you my national endowment.
I think it was $5 billion. We'll discuss the details of the U.S. involvement in the coup later on in the debate, I'm sure. But lots of money came in to these U.S. agencies on the ground to actually hijack the Maidan protests. Upon hijacking the Maidan protests, violence broke out. This was dissimilar to the 2004 color revolution that the U.S. also played a part in, surrounding the 2004 elections, which Yanukovych was also involved in. Initially reported that he won, though international Western-aligned agencies claimed that these elections were marred with corruption and discrepancies and irregularities in the vote. The election was overturned then, and Yanukovych didn't see the presidency until his second run. But after being elected, during these Maidan protests,
people
US
talk.
Became
people
involved.
Talk.
They led a coup.
Yo, can I get a couple of people talks in
government of Yanukovych?
These people
and
talking
after
me.
that, coup on the democratically elected government of Yanukovych, we saw the 8-year war begin. And that's the next point I want to make. It's insane to assume that this war began, within the past 2 weeks. Everyone knows that there was shelling, there was fighting in the Donbass region. The question is, when did that begin? It began directly after the coup, thanks to the Western-aligned leader that was put into power. Now, these Western-aligned leaders that were put into power,
he just keeps talking
to the nationalist far right.
He just keeps talking.
Factions, radical factions within both the Ukrainian military and the Ukrainian political apparatus. There's over 80 far right, military militias and battalions within Ukraine. Some of the most notable include, of course, the Azov battalion, which is one of the primary.
We're gonna keep.
All
he's still talking. Please, Lord, save me.
Threat to their security I just mentioned was taking place, and these Western-aligned leaders that controlled the government for different stretches of time over these over this period have made a continued effort to try and join NATO, which Vladimir Putin has continuously said, and I agree, would be a direct threat to their security.
Okay, so basically what he's talking about, back in 2013, there were protests across Ukraine to protest their old government because they were getting way too close to Russia. My bad. They were getting way too close to Russia. Their ties were too close, and so there are a lot of protests against that. What he's basically saying is that this was the West coming in and trying to perform a coup, and they destroyed Ukraine, and now there's like a puppet, an American puppet government there, which he's going to say is Zelensky.
You got it. Thank you very much for those openings, Infrared and Jackson Hinkle. Want to let you know, folks, if it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, we are live.
Thank you, Modern Day Debate.
Greatest geopolitical catastrophe in the last century has been the collapse of the Soviet Union. I think if we look at the actions of Putin, not just in Ukraine, but in other countries and other states within Russia around the world, I think we can see that Putin's goal is to rebuild some sort of new body that resembles the lost Soviet Union. Whether that's going to be the Union state that includes Belarus, Russia, and perhaps some future Ukraine or not remains to be seen based on how well the Ukrainians can resist Russian aggression. But it seems pretty clear that Putin has a huge drive to rebuild what he sees as one of the, as I guess his fond memory of the Soviet Union. The idea that in terms of individual claims, I guess we'll start going through the history, but I mean, almost everything you said is either half wrong or just completely wrong. The idea that Europe was offering them an unfair deal, one of the biggest reasons why they required that EU deal was because Russia themselves began to put blockades on certain imports for Ukraine, just because they thought that the president was looking towards the European Union for a deal. The idea that the Russian deal was better when the European deal would have just allowed them access to the markets, while the Russian deal was literally an exclusive deal that would have forbade them from trading into other markets is hilariously stupid.
Wow.
The idea that this conflict began in 2014 is also just completely wrong. There have been foreign policy experts, I can find papers back since 2010, claiming that Crimea was under threat of invasion from Russia, and it was invaded. Russia has been consistently working with disinformation campaigns among actual military aid to places like Donbass or Crimea since at least 2010, if not earlier. There's been a long and a rich history of corruption in Ukraine, whether we're talking about people that used to actually be in the Soviet party.
That also, Putin invaded Chechnya, which is over here, and Georgia, which is over here. Like, it makes a lot of sense that they've been doing a lot of shit in this area for a long time.
That became leaders of Ukraine, or we're talking about people that more or less wanted to be Putin's stooges later on, like Yanukovych. I guess we'll get into the individual history of any of these particular things, but yeah, that's the idea right now today that Russia is somehow justified in their aggression and their taking over of any of the Ukrainian territory, whether that's when they took over Crimea in 2014, whether that's the eastern territories that they're trying to take over now, or the rest of Ukraine that they're trying to take over. I think it's just absolutely absurd. I would echo something that Haas said at the very beginning of the debate, that one country's security cannot be increased at the expense of another. That's a hilarious statement coming from somebody trying to defend the neo-imperialism of the wannabe Soviet Union. And I'm curious how you guys will defend this in the conversation coming forward.
I've never seen him so right. He's not stupid. I mean, he's not stupid. I mean, just the type of Probably the thing is that the types of things that you see him talking about are things that you would find disagreeable. I highly doubt that you typically watch his content. I mean, I don't watch much content either, but I don't think he's a dumb boy.
Okay, so I guess the best thing to do would be start.
He's
with,
never seen it had a good take. I'm new to the space.
Recent Ukrainian history.
That makes sense. Yeah, he has a long and colorful history in this space. So yeah, I can see you. I can see you seeing a lot of the things that he's been up to be very disagreeable. Makes a lot of sense. Not when you put it that way.
So the Orange Revolution, which I respect the Ukrainian people for taking power into their own hands to stop an election that was stolen, as was confirmed by the Ukrainian court system in 2004, and we call it a coup, or it was a coup of Viktor Yanukovych. What was failed to mention is that after the Ukrainian courts decided that there was large-scale fraud committed on behalf of Viktor Yanukovych in 2004, is that there was a revote. And after the revote was done, once international monitors were now involved in the situation, that's when Viktor Yanukovych lost the 2004 election. And so the Orange Revolution, that is usually cited here as a coup, what is not mentioned is, just like in the 2014 coup, there is an election after both of these instances. In 2004, there was a revote, and in 2014, after Viktor Yanukovych was impeached, he then fled the country, and there was another democratic election where somebody was democratically elected. There was also another election in 2019 where Zelensky won with about 73% of the vote. I respect the Ukrainian people and taking the power in their own hands to take back their democracy in both instances. I would also like to talk about, I know both of these people care about sovereignty a lot here. In both instances, both in 2004 and 2014 and before it, the Russian state has meddled in the affairs of Ukraine on multiple occasions, fomenting corruption, directly.
Dylan, shut the fuck up. We all know that any time that an anti-Putin and anti-Russian government is in place, it's all because of the radical liberals and the US. Because without them, everybody would love Putin because he's so sick and pog.
Getting involved.
You wouldn't understand that though.
And directly get involved with Ukrainian politicians and basically sponsoring them on behalf of the state. They have gotten involved in the affairs of Ukraine, and it's not that surprising that you're going to see protests against politicians like Viktor Yanukovych, and you're going to see the Orange Revolution in 2004 when a foreign state meddles in the internal affairs of another state. So it's strange for me to hear all this concern about America interfering in the internal affairs of the Ukrainian government in 2014 when there was so much of it going on ever since the creation of, ever since Ukraine voted with over 90% of the vote to separate from Russia in the early 1990s. I would also like to cite, since it hasn't been brought up by anyone, that Russia guaranteed in 1994 in the Budapest Memorandum to not invade Ukraine after it gave up its nuclear weapons and to respect the nation's territorial integrity. I would also say the spirit of that was also violated when they meddled in the internal affairs of Ukraine in both 2004, 2014, and many other instances. Besides that, I heard a lot about concern about the far right, but I heard no concern about, for example, the Russian National Unity Movement, which
what
is
about that? The
Russian
Nazis?
neo-Nazi political and militia group that is active under the arm of the Donetsk People's Republic. They are a neo-Nazi militia that has been fighting on behalf of the Donetsk People's Republic for a very long period of time now. And so for me, this claim of denazification, or this at
bold of Dylan to assume that they actually care about a Nazi problem,
all having to do with denazification, is ridiculous to me. Not only are Nazis fighting on behalf of Russian-backed rebels, but there's also instances of, for example, Belarus, the leader of Belarus, which is involved in the conflict, praising Adolf Hitler, saying Germany reached its peak under Adolf Hitler. And not only that, but also, we can talk about the Chechen fighters, for example. In Chechnya, they have put homosexuals in concentration camps.
No!
Now, I don't want to talk about the deep history of the gays in Nazi Germany, but if there's anything that is Nazi-esque, I would say putting homosexuals in concentration camp would solidly fall under that category. This doesn't even have to do with polling data when we talk about anti-Semitism between the two countries. Or
I got any homosexuals in chat?
Political party, which is something that's cited on multiple occasions, has not won a single seat in Ukraine's parliament. You can add the right sector as well. The right sector has not run a single seat in Ukraine's parliament either. Now, maybe if you added a three-finger party, you can get one seat out of 450, but this idea of the Ukrainian Nazi state that's being taken on by the Russians is ridiculous when the Russian government and the republics that Vladimir Putin has recognized is fighting with neo-Nazis. It's simple that the Slavs of Europe obviously have a bad memory with neo-Nazis, and it's really easy to convince your population that the enemy is bad if you call them all Nazis. If in this debate I said, my two opponents here are neo-Nazis, it would justify me being extremely terrible towards both of them because nobody likes Nazis as long as you're a normal person. We can probably get into specifics of U.S. involvement in 2014 and the labeling of it as a coup. We can get more into the Budapest Memorandum. I'm hoping to get more into that, but I'll just end my statement there for now.
I'd also like to add on amends to Dylan's statement that I would like to congratulate the neo-Nazi country of Ukraine for being the first country outside of Israel to have its two highest level political positions held by Jewish people, which is an amazing achievement for a supposedly
because
neo-Nazi
the Nazis.
Opening statements.
Oh, you.
Oh my
it's-
good
it's-
opening
wait,
statement.
wait,
I was
wait,
ama-
I mean, they do.
Keep
Hold on
crying.
one sec,
Keep
gentlemen.
crying.
Gentlemen, they do. There are still 5 minutes left
Yeah.
for.
Thank you.
guys are-
Well,
you
if
guys
we're
can-
gonna play, yeah, now we got
I do
factoid. I
want
want
to
to
say, okay,
Oh, yeah, go
that
for
it
it,
isn't
yeah.
that surprising that these people couldn't respect the rules of debate when the Russians are not respecting the rules of war in multiple cities across Ukraine. Sorry,
Makes a lot of
Almost as
sense.
though they're
Makes you
trying to
think.
improve the
Bring
security
a
of their
tissue
opening
out.
statement
Bring
by
it-
violating the security of ours.
Bring a tissue
Unbelievable.
I hate it. All right. So I'm going to use the mute button liberally tonight, just because I really seriously want this to be a.
Yo, we got liberals here. Yikes.
Thank you.
Any last words from Destiny and Dylan in terms of that opening?
Last word, just for context, before we get into debating the ethics of the Azov Battalion, this is a fighting force of maybe 2,500 people, of whom 10 to 20% are supposedly neo-Nazis, out of a Ukrainian army that has over 200,000 active military personnel. The idea that Ukraine is some hotbed of neo-Nazi activity is just hilarious. Having both a prime minister and a president that are Jewish, like it's one of the biggest driving forces that Putin uses to try to push his population against Ukraine. It's absolutely pure propaganda. All right, I think are we good here, Dylan? I've got a few more minutes. Anything else you want to?
I mean, I could just
Propaganda.
list off like Russian war crimes in Ukraine, since they talked about that. The targeting of
Here we
civilians
go.
in Kherson, the targeting of I mean, he's laughing, demented as usual. Targeting of civilians all across Ukraine.
Since you addressed me, you're full of shit.
Hold
You're
on,
not
we
talking-
do
I
have-
can address
Oh,
all I
still an
want.
opening.
My goodness, see,
Oh, he's laughing.
I can
Right, I hate
comment on
muting
that.
you,
if
but
I
Oh,
we
want.
do have,
he's
there is-
so
there are
mad.
about 3 minutes and 15 seconds left for
So
Destiny.
tell him
and
to
Dylan.
stay on topic. Don't make comments directed at me, Pillsbury.
It's a debate. It's a debate. What do you mean? Don't
It's
make
a
comments
debate.
directed at you? Do you want to just
Do you
make
think-
long speech
wait,
followed after
Do you
long
think
speech?
it would be considered a war crime when Yushchenko didn't that guy say that he was really crazy? He had like Agent Orange poisoning or whatever. That there was kind of a random thing when he was running against Yushchenko. This is kind of strange. I'm sorry, when he was running against Yanukovych. That was kind of weird.
A little strange. I mean, but you know,
It might have randomly,
look,
you know.
hey, amongst
It's a little strange. All the
Wait,
journalists
what
have
the
disappeared.
look at
He
that.
just
Look
keeps
at that.
talking.
Just can't stop. See, again, more evidence that pro-Russian individuals in this conflict just can't follow rules of
Dude,
engagement.
he is people talking.
Critical civilian infrastructure has been targeted in Mariupol. Civilians have been bombed in Kherson again and again and again. Kindergartens have been targeted. NGOs like Amnesty International have brought up the
Right
use
now, in violation of the Geneva Convention, I believe that the largest nuclear reactor in the world has been hit multiple times. It is currently on
That's true. That's
fire
happening
in
right
Ukraine.
now. Actually, true. It's actually
We don't have reports yet. I think I saw an RT article saying Ukrainians themselves were shooting handguns at it in order to foment like false.
Did we check to see if there was a swastika on the side of the nuclear reactor? It could be an
Every
option.
single
There
bullet
There
had
was
a
a picture
swastika on
of a
it.
swastika
James,
that was released by Russian state media.
They're just
But
He's so
it
mad.
later came out that it was part of
This
Call of
isn't a
Duty
fucking
War, so it
opening
was.
statement anymore.
We can
They're-
talk
we
about
rest-
it.
That was the end of our opening statement. We rest our case.
All right. Want to let you know, folks. As mentioned, if it's your first time here, Modern Day
He's so
Debate is a
mad.
neutral channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button as we have many more debates coming up. And want to let you know our guests are linked in the description if you'd like to hear more. Last but not least, gentlemen, really, during this open conversation, I really do need you to work with me. It really does have to be that you're not speaking over each other, because that, of course, thwarts our own purpose of having the debate if people can't hear people because they're speaking over each other. So we're going to go into open conversation.
Which was impeached.
This
And
meme is very real.
despite
Sorry.
It's a whole lot to pick through there, but Dylan did make
Let's talk
the
about it.
inflammatory claim that that Yanukovych was impeached, and despite the fact that Dylan claims to be an expert on the matter, yada yada yada, foreign policy expert, he seems to have lost out the fact that
Lab coat.
Yanukovych was actually not impeached per the constitutional requirements in Ukraine.
This
in fact,
I would like to finish.
well, let me finish because you happen to not know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
So
Sure, buddy.
there needed to be 3/4 of the parliament to guarantee an impeachment, and they did not reach that. They did not get those 3/4 votes in order to impeach Yanukovych. And the Supreme Courts and the constitutional courts were not involved. They did not recognize this as an impeachment. I believe it was the following day or maybe 2 days after Yanukovych decided that his life was under threat and he was going to flee to the second largest city in Ukraine. He did. He fled by helicopter. And there was actually reports. The reason why he fled by helicopter is because there was reports that there was going to be a act of violence upon him committed by these far right wing forces that were trying to lead this coup. And in fact, upon his the series of cars that were supposed to be carrying him off to Kharkov when he was leaving, when in fact he was in a helicopter, they were fired upon by snipers. So he was not impeached. There was no constitutional requirement. They didn't get enough votes. So I don't know why you said that.
Well, number one, it is a debate that is ongoing in Ukraine whether he was legally or not legally impeached. This has been... Okay, you can continue to.
I hate
Okay,
it so
continue to
much.
laugh.
So
Okay.
why'd you say that?
I
he
hate
was-
the
Didn't let
cringe
me-
laugh
didn't let me
so much.
finish, okay, it's an ongoing constitutional debate on whether he was legally or non-legally impeached. Obviously,
Why is there a debate?
Hold on.
Yeah,
Let's
what's
just
the
give a
debate?
minute or two.
James.
Just a minute or two for Dylan to respond.
Okay, it is a ongoing legal debate within Ukraine, and I am going to appeal to the legal scholars in Ukraine, which said that he was constitutionally impeached. I'm going to appeal to them because I'm not a legal expert, and I know Jackson Hinkle, you're not a legal expert as well. But I do want to bring up here for a second that this is probably the first time I've ever seen Jackson in favor of a regime change war. And can we also
They're
talk about,
impartial
wait,
scientists.
let me
appeal to the scientists.
We'll give you
Let me-
30 seconds. I got to give you 30 seconds, and then we got to kick it over.
Pause. If you want to talk about science for a second, can we talk about the claim you made that the Ukrainian
Please.
government was working with the American government to make bioweapons that would target Russian DNA?
There have been
What?
reports that the biolabs that are operating within Ukraine, that the Ukrainian government is allegedly solely operating, were indeed this is an allegation by the Russian embassy, and I'm going to
Do you
appeal
have
to
any
the,
evidence?
I'm going to appeal to the experts at the Russian embassy.
So
who
you
are
have
experts.
Ah.
okay. So
Well,
I
yeah,
can't-
I'm going to appeal to the scholars on military threats, the
what
military
scientists?
apparatus of the Russian foreign ministry.
As you see, so Ukrainians hated them. Ukrainians hated the Russians so much that they've been busy trying to prepare the anti-Russoinator. Okay, and so basically, what this would do, everybody knows about this. All right, this has been talked about. These are the reports that the virus would go in and make it incapable of you to be able to metabolize vodka. This would instantly kill off, at the very least, 70% of the Russian population within 5 years. Everybody knows about this, okay? Everybody knows about this, and only the lab coats want to tell you that it's not true. It is very true. Many people have said this. Sorry.
I'm going to appeal to the scholars of the Russian military, who I trust them. I'm not an expert in the
saw it.
intel
True.
that all they have. And
Which
all that kind of
scientist
stuff.
has backed
I was the
Any
virus.
scientist?
Those are Russian military foreign relations experts, and they know what's going on. They have the intel. It's the GRU. I don't know what intel
Which
they have.
ones? Which ones?
Okay, which legal scholars in particular?
So my question. so
which
is
legal
my
scholars
problem-
are arguing that the impeachment was legal then?
So you're fine with me appealing. So it's a problem for me to appeal to legal scholars, but it's not. It's a problem for you to do that.
I'm
Or
just
can we
applying
do
the same
thing?
standard you're applying to me.
But you were laughing when I was doing that, as if it was a ridiculous
I'm
thing to
applying
do.
the
But
same
you're doing the
standard.
same. So it's okay.
I'm applying
then.
the same standard.
So then we
all
can-
I can say is that I don't believe that the Russian foreign ministry would be lying about this.
So
I
you
don't-
do
I would
believe?
think-
Okay. How would that be done exactly? How would you target Russian DNA with biochemical weapons? How would that work? Definitely considering.
Wait,
Putin's
you don't know that there's-
Let me
wait,
finish.
wait, you don't know that there's
let me finish.
biological
Let me
weapons.
finish.
Weapons.
Let me
Hold
finish.
on, you don't know that
Let
there's
me finish.
biological
Hold on one
weapons that
second.
target
Look at him.
specific
JP,
DNA.
hold on,
Let me-
gentlemen.
Wait, do you
Be
not
fair-
know
hold
that-
on, gentlemen,
Look at him.
gentlemen.
You don't know
He
that
just
that's
keeps
the-
going.
You guys,
He just keeps
seriously,
going.
Just to be fair to Infrared, you did ask him a question. I want to give him a chance to answer that last question, Dylan. I promise I'll kick it right back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, finally, you don't know that that's a thing, that there's biological weapons that are being developed that target the specific DNA of specific peoples, that the US was accusing China of developing this and vice versa for China. You don't know about that whole thing?
So what do you guys think? What? Definitely a what type of scenario? Like what to heck even? What? Now, you can attack certain DNA. Sure, yeah, 100%. But to sit here and like, there are viruses that harm like different types of people differently. But to sit here and be like, oh yeah, dude, they're out there producing some fucking insane, crazy shit that's going to take down the Russian DNA. Like they share a lot of DNA with Russians. Wouldn't that hurt them too? Is there special Russian DNA? Was I not memeing? Well, was I memeing? But it's actually true. The fact that it would attack the vodka gene.
Problem
Oh my
is,
god!
it's very
real.
difficult for Putin on one hand to talk about the united like history of both Ukraine and Russia, and to have the amount of like relations between Ukraine and what?
Yeah,
Okay.
we know they share
He's
DNA.
talking.
Yes.
People
so
talk.
how are you going to make biochemical weapons that target
Ask them.
Russians? But
Ask
there's no evidence for this.
Well, can we just
There's
ask a
no-
more
hold on,
reasonable
there's
question? Wait,
no
don't you think
evidence.
it's why
There's-
would we trust the Russian state media who is trying to
It's not the state
like
media,
fabricate?
it's the Russian embassy.
Let's
Which
let's
is-
give
which
Steven
is-
30 seconds, and we'll kick it over to you,
Yeah.
Fred or Jackson.
If I were to try to tell you that I know that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction because the U.S. State
This
Department.
was not the
Wait,
pretext for
oh,
Russia.
oh my God! Wait, is there an echo? Is that my
He just
voice?
keeps talking.
Because it's pivoting. This was
Keep on
not
talking.
the pretext for special operations. So
Shut
it's
the
not
fuck
irrelevant.
up, bro.
We have to
Please,
go
I'm
back.
begging
promise.
you.
Destiny, you
Infrared,
started
I
this
checked-
debate bitching
Okay, I
about
hate
not
to
being
do
off
this.
topic. and this is
Apparently,
off
we
topic.
have to. So
Mute him.
I hate to do this. Just
All right.
let's give it another 30 seconds to Destiny. We'll come right back to you, Infrared.
Okay, I don't understand because I don't think the Kremlin would be happy if I were to cite the U.S. State Department when the United
All right,
States is
look,
trying to
no,
enact
I'm not
a
gonna have-
unilateral war against another country. I don't think I'd be able to say, well, the
He's
United
so
States
bad.
says this thing. You would need
No,
some
you
sort of like
wonder-
external
those are not-
European Union body or UN body or somebody looking into something. So for Russia, that's
James,
trying
I'm
to
not-
justify
alright,
a unilateral
you
invasion
wanna
of a
fuck-
country to say that like, well, their
Like,
embassy said that this was a
Infrared,
bioweapon. I don't think that's a good. I don't think that's fair.
I've never.
Yeah, if
He can't do it. Destiny's bullying him too hard. It actually hurts his. All right, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hurt do you think his feelings are? Like genuinely, what do you guys think? Just losing hair live. 20, 25. This guy's fucking. I've never seen him mauled so hard. Like, I mean, come on. It's kind of a cute, funny name. I mean, come on. Kremlin Gremlin. That's funny. It's funny. Is that not funny? Like, what do you guys think? Is that not funny? Even if I got, oh no, even if I got called that, I'd be like, okay, you got me. It's a haha funny. It is. I'm sorry. It's cute. It's funny. It's funny. It's funny. You got to learn to laugh at. He's got to learn to laugh at himself a little bit, you know.
Infrared, you got to do me a favor. You can't, if you're gonna unmute yourself. Come on, you got to work with me.
Oh,
here.
but so I'm gonna take his insults and not respond.
Right,
I'm not gonna
here,
play
now's
those.
your
games.
chance.
You can insult
do
it
it at your
back.
time.
He's gonna sit his
Infrared,
little bitch
you
ass gnome ass down and
Gnome.
fucking put some respect on this, or I am gonna fucking cut him off. Now, if this was the pretext for Russia's special military operation, you would be right. We would need that evidence to be provided. But that's not the fucking pretext for the special military operation. It's another type of allegation, the details of which have not been disclosed to the fucking public. So arguing about it is fucking pointless. You want to know my fucking opinion? I trust that they wouldn't make this up because they don't need to, because they have plenty enough, such as the fact that the
They do
Ukrainian
have plenty
government
enough.
is infiltrated
So
by
true, bestie.
anti-Russian neo-Nazi forces. And we're going to talk about that, actually. You said that because
here
Zelensky
we
is
go.
Jewish and that there's Jewish representation in the Ukrainian government, that there couldn't possibly be neo-Nazi sympathies rampant in the Ukrainian ruling elite.
I never said that there weren't neo-Nazi
Let's
sympathizers. There
ask
might
the
be
question.
sympathizers, but
Let's
that's
ask
not
the
what your
question.
initial
First of all,
allegation was.
Was
Mhm.
Nazism solely defined by anti-Semitism? No, it was anti-Semitism actually was just a subset of the pan-European supremacism that defined Nazism. They were anti-Semitic because they considered Jews to be foreign to Europe, right? The main thrust actually was targeted toward Russians who were considered Asiatic and Slavs to the east in general.
Wait,
and
who?
They wanted to enslave
Wait,
and
who?
exterminate the Russians too and the Slavs too.
Huss,
because-
who the fuck?
Wait. I want to make sure that I got this right.
such as the fact so we need that evidence to be provided. But that's not the fucking pretext for the special military operation. It's another type of allegation because they have plenty enough, such as the fact that the Ukrainian government is infiltrated by anti-Russian
Fucking what?
neo-Nazi forces.
He just
And we're
did
gonna
it?
talk about that, actually. You said that because Zelensky is Jewish and that there's Jewish representation in the Ukrainian government, that there couldn't possibly be neo-Nazi sympathies rampant in the Ukrainian ruling elite.
I never said that there weren't neo-Nazi
Let's
sympathizers.
ask
There might
the
be
question.
sympathizers,
Let's
but
ask
that's
the
not what your
question.
initial
First of all,
allegation was.
Was
Mhm.
Nazism solely defined by anti-Semitism? No, it was anti-Semitism actually was just a subset of the pan-European supremacism that defined Nazism. They were anti-Semitic because they considered Jews to be foreign to Europe, right? The main thrust actually a subset of the pan-European supremacism.
Not what your initial allegation was.
Was
Mhm.
Nazism solely defined by anti-Semitism? No, it was anti-Semitism actually was just a subset of the pan-European supremacism that defined Nazism.
We're not talking about if a system. No, we're not talking about if a system is 100% defined by a single thing. No, obviously Nazism and fascism are not solely defined by anti-Semitism. That's a large part of their ideology, but no, it's not. What's he saying? Why is he running this weird defense for Nazism like this? This is so fucking weird. They literally did anti-Semitism though. Listen, but like that's okay because Ukraine is worse though. Many people are saying this. Yeah, Nazism is defined by its anti-Semitism. That's a big part of why it's separated from just normal fascism. But yeah, like obviously it's not 100%. Yeah.
They were anti-Semitic because they considered Jews to be foreign to Europe, right? The main thrust actually was targeted toward Russian.
Weren't they anti-Semitic because they thought that they were making a plot to destroy all like white people? What the fuck? I'm being bamboozled. What the hell's happening?
Who were considered Asiatic.
What is this
and Slavs to
understanding?
the east
This is the guy
in
who
general.
runs around
Wait, who?
saying
They wanted
that
to
everybody else
enslave
is
and
a
who?
exterminate the Russians too and the Slavs too.
Huss,
because
who the fuck
they were
asked? Nobody
considered
cares.
Mongols
Huss,
and
this has
Asiatic.
nothing to do with what we're
Now-
talking about.
No, it does, because the fact that
Let's let
Zelensky is
Huss finish.
Jewish doesn't fucking
Huss,
mean that
30
Ukrainian
more.
government can't have neo-Nazi sympathies. Stepan Bandera, who is a Nazi collaborator during World War II, is widely celebrated in Ukraine by the Ukrainian government. They're putting monuments by him. They're putting his pictures up during Maidan. He's been exonerated and he's been rehabilitated, despite the fact that he was a fucking Nazi collaborator. Now, if you can't square that consistency with the fact that Zelensky's Jewish, you should go as Zelensky himself.
Wait.
And Slavs to the east in general.
Huss,
Zelensky's
finish.
Jewish doesn't fucking the Ukrainian government. They're putting monuments, have neo-Nazi sympathies. Stepan Bandera, who
Stepan Bandera. Let's see. Stepan Bandera. We do a little googly. We do a little search. We do a little searchy search. Holy crap, this guy looks giga fake. Look at his face. This guy does look evil. Oh my gosh. Wacky. Anyways, Ukrainian politician and theorist and militant wing of the far-right organization Ukrainian Nationalists, a leader of ideology of Ukrainian nationalism known for its involvement in terrorist activities. In the year 2010, outgoing president of Ukraine, Viktor Yushchenko, awarded Bandera with the posthumous title of Hero of Ukraine. The European Parliament condemned the award Also did Russia, Polish, and German organizations. The incoming president, Viktor Yanukovych, declared the award illegal since Bandera was never a citizen of Ukraine and necessary for getting the award. This announcement was condemned by the court in 2010. 2011, the award was officially annulled. A proposal to confer the award on Bandera was rejected by the Ukrainian parliament in 2019. Bandera remains a highly controversial figure in Ukraine. Some Ukrainians hailing him as a liberator who fought against Soviet, Polish, and Nazi states while trying to establish an independent Ukraine, while other Ukrainians, as well as Polish and Russian condemn him as a fascist and a war criminal who was, together with his followers, largely responsible for massacres of Polish citizens and partially for the Holocaust in Ukraine. In Lviv, pledging to work with Nazi Germany for his refusal to rescind the decree, Bandera was arrested by the Gestapo, which put him under house arrest for 3 years? 2 years? He was sent to a concentration camp. In 1944, Germany, rapidly losing ground in the war, faced advancing Allied armies. Bandera was released in the hope that he would be an instrument in deterring the advancing Soviet forces. He set up headquarters and reestablished the Ukrainian Supreme Liberation Council, which worked underground. He settled with his family in West Germany, and he remained a leader of the Security Council, which worked on several anti-communist organizations such as the anti-Bolshevik, as well as British intelligence, anti-Bolshevik blocs, as well as British intelligence. 14 years after the war ended, Bandera was assassinated by the KGB. He was assassinated by the KGB. Okay. Yeah, okay. I see. It seemed like he's a speckled boy with a speckled history. And so he did fight for Ukrainian independence, but also he worked with Nazis. So yeah, in a country like that, I can imagine that's a very polarizing figure. National survey conducted in 2009 inquired about attitudes in the region towards Bandera's fraction of the OUN. It produced the following results. 37% were very positive opinion in Bandera. 26% were mostly positive. 20% were neutral. 5% were mostly negative. 6% were very negative. 6% were unsure. No one in Ukraine has a mostly negative. The highest is 50% unsure. 4% of respondents said very positive. 32% said mostly positive. 50% were neutral. Meanwhile, he's cool with Stalin. Stalin, he did so much for the USSR, bro. And if you don't like him, you're probably a CIA plant Nazi. Fuck you.
Who is a Nazi collaborator during World War II, is widely celebrated in Ukraine by the Ukrainian government. They're putting monuments by him. They're putting his pictures up during Maidan. He's been exonerated and he's been rehabilitated, despite the fact that he was a fucking Nazi collaborator.
So this is an incredibly gross mischaracterization about how he's viewed in Ukraine. That's, as we read, that's not true. The parliament declined. All of the presidents, except for the two presidents before these ones, didn't want to exonerate him. Like this idea that he's been completely exonerated is just like untrue. Sure, there are some people who think that he's pretty cool. Not everybody. And he seems to be a pretty polarizing figure that a lot of people are like bouncing around. I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, I mean, you know what? It's kind of like you can think of it like this. It's kind of like the US presidents, right? How a lot of our presidents were kind of like bad people. I think that if you enslave people, if you like rape, murder, and torture people, you're a pretty bad guy. Here in the States, we love people like Abraham Lincoln and Thomas Jefferson, and well, to a lesser extent, yeah,
this meme is
to a
very
lesser
real.
extent, Andrew Jackson. But yeah, a lot of those and a lot of the people who wrote and we have statues of them everywhere. We have all of this. I think if you rape, torture, and murder people, and that's not only something that you do, like you do like a little bit, it's your job to rape, murder, and torture people. I think that makes you a pretty horrible human being, right? That's just me. And the thing is, we herald our founders because they did. The reason for why we're here and we're separated and we have independence today is partly because of them. That's true. I think that they're kind of pretty bad people, but they did do a lot for us, and so we venerate them in that way. For that. Now, I think we should be a little bit more critical of that. But yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, 100%. And I don't think, and for something as difficult as Eastern Europe during the Nazi during World War II. I don't know, man. I feel like we should have like a little bit more latitude to be like, they probably don't love him because he's a Nazi. They probably like him. Some of them like him probably in spite of him being a Nazi. You know what I mean? Or at least like a Nazi collaborator, if we're going to be using those terms.
Now, if you can't square that consistency with the fact that Zelensky is Jewish, you should go ask Zelensky himself why he's the head of a state that is celebrating a Nazi collaborator despite him being of the Jewish.
Just so you know, this is not true. Once again, lying. Always lying. What a piece of
Are you
shit.
saying that the Russian Nazis like Jews? They're fine with Jews? I mean, the Ukrainian Nazis. They're fine with Jews? They're like pro-Jew Nazis?
That's a question you should raise to them.
No, I'm asking you. I'm raising the question to you.
They may harbor anti-Semitic views, but as far as I'm not concerned, there is nothing impossible about the idea of Western Ukrainian who are from Jewish descent to also have neo-Nazi sympathies themselves.
Okay. Having sympathies for somebody that might have been a national hero. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt.
Infrared, we're getting a good amount of time. Let's kick it over to Stephen, and then Jackson. Just after Stephen, just in case Jackson has anything too.
So this is like Nazi propaganda. It's hard to tell the difference. This is like Putin propaganda 101. Okay, so the original claim was that the government was full of like neo-Nazis, and now it's shifted.
It is.
Infra.
Am I done talking? Holy shit!
Oh
now the claim is moved all the way back to, well, there is a hero that was pretty inarguably a neo-Nazi that some people in Ukraine celebrate.
Not
this
some,
is a totally,
not some.
totally,
the whole Ukrainian government.
Totally, no, it's not. He's an incredible.
This is incredibly. He's such a what a disgusting, gross ass person. What a bad man. He's such a piece of shit. I'm sorry. He's just such a piece of shit. What a bad guy. Why do you have to lie so hard about everything? It's not true. Yeah, he's a pretty controversial figure.
He's an incredibly divisive figure, and there's an incredibly divisive figure, even in Western Ukraine. Okay, the United States. Can I finish a fucking sentence? Holy shit! This isn't your Spencer debate where you're going to ramble for 12 fucking hours. I'm letting me get a fucking word in. Okay, the idea that just because somebody worships some hero or some country said, "Oh, this guy was really important in our history," means that the entire country is all of a sudden infested with neo-Nazis is no less true than when the United States celebrates any fucking hero that has a sordid history or has been racist or has been anti-Semitic or whatever else. The fucking United States took in Nazis after World War II in exchange for some of the scientific information they could give us. It doesn't make us Nazis. It doesn't make our government full of neo-Nazi sympathizers. If you want to make the argument that Ukraine has neo-Nazi sympathizers, then you need to show me neo-Nazi actions happening today in Ukraine, not trying to allude to some hero that a prime minister, in 2010 or whatever, decided to nominate as some fucking hero because of his history in Ukraine. You need to show me something current about that. What are the neo-Nazi activities that Ukraine is taking on today? Don't tell me who was nominated as a fucking national hero.
You're completely full of
impossible
shit.
difficulty.
You just said that Stepan Bandera was incidentally a Nazi collaborator.
Yep.
His whole historical significance was that he was a fucking Nazi collaborator. He has no significance outside of it.
I think I can.
Why do they only lie? It's only lies. He sits on the throne of lies. He's such a bad fucking person. That's wild. One move. Yeah, he has one move, dude. Lie. That's it. Just lie. That's so untrue. He honestly believes that the only reason that Ukrainians like him, they're like, ooh, baby, we love Nazis. We love Nazis, guys. Oh, dude, all he did was help the Nazis. That's so cool. That's so based. He's such a stupid fucking bad person. Oh my jeez, dude. I'm losing my whole goddamn mind. I'm a very good bad boy. I'm losing my mind.
I think I can add some context to this.
It's not like the inventor of the
no, you can't.
telephone who
just so you
to be
know.
a racist. This guy, his primary historical significance was being a Nazi collaborator who betrayed the Soviet Union and was attacking them on behalf of the fucking Nazis to exterminate the Slavic and Russian Ukrainian people.
That's not true.
To create a westernized Ukrainian collaborator state. So you're completely full of fucking shit when it comes to that. Finally, you want to know about the neo-Nazi activities that are going on now and have been going on in the past 8 years? Sure. It's the Azov Battalion, which is the vanguard of Ukraine's military in the eastern Ukraine and in the Donbass, which is regularly attacking civilians, regularly shelling civilian infrastructure, regularly embarking on a campaign to slaughter and exterminate the Russian peoples in eastern Ukraine. They
Excuse me.
Russian and Ukrainian peoples to create a westernized Ukrainian collaborator state. So you're completely full of fucking shit when it comes to that. Finally, you want to know about the neo-Nazi activities that are going on now and have been going on in the past 8 years? Sure. It's the Azov Battalion, which is the vanguard of Ukraine's military in the eastern.
That's once again not true.
In Ukraine and in
Source?
the Donbass,
His
which
ass.
is regularly attacking civilians, regularly shelling civilian infrastructure, regularly embarking on a campaign to slaughter and exterminate the Russian peoples in eastern Ukraine. They committed the massacre of Odessa back in the early days of the Maidan. All sorts of fucking neo-Nazi activities. They burned people alive. They've hung people. They've slaughtered people. They've made people disappear. If you want to talk about neo-Nazi activities in fucking Ukraine that are now in contemporary here, we have a whole host of fucking...
Every single thing you just described, modern day Russia.
Add some context. I want to jump into that. Context.
Actually, they've done more of it. It's pretty cringe. No, yeah, modern day Russia is very bad. If you didn't know, like modern Ukraine, ISIS, yeah, modern day Russia has Nazis who are a part of their government. It's just like the idea that this isn't something that they do is just kind of is what we call in the business stupid, very stupid indeed. This is just not true. They are pretty horrible boys. I actually don't know what to tell you. He's just lying. Crack pipe. Yeah, dude, he's just huffing that crack pipe, man. It's kind of hecked up.
Crucified people.
Because
They crucified people.
None of that was neo-Nazi.
Yeah, it's not neo-Nazi to
Listen,
crucify people for
listen,
being
No,
Russian.
it's not a
Listen.
neo-Nazi. War crimes and
Listen,
neo-Nazi.
you guys have all
to
been
be a
talking.
Nazi to
Let me
commit
say
war
something.
crimes.
You guys have
For a
all been
while.
talking. Let me get in my 2 cents now, okay? So,
Oh, here we go. Now
at
he
the end
has
of
to
the day,
talk.
The primary goal of the ideological inheritors of the Organization for Ukrainian Nationalists, which is the vanguard of fascism in Ukraine. This is the ideology.
Yeah, there's I haven't looked into it myself entirely. There have been like rumors that some people were crucified by the Azov battalion, or my bad. That there are people who have been crucified by while in the fighting of Eastern Ukraine. There are rumors of that. I don't know if those are actually true. I haven't looked into any of those. But basically, he's trying to say that everything is the Azov battalion's fault. Not only that, they're the ones who are doing. No, they're the giant rats making all of the rules in Eastern Ukraine. Basically, is what they want to say, which is not true.
The radical faction within this organization, especially of Stefan Bandera, they are the people who are primarily responsible
Why
for the hundreds of
Bandera?
thousands of Jewish, Polish, and Russian deaths that took place during World War II when Western Ukrainian ultranationalists and neo-Nazis were collaborating with the actual Nazis from Germany that were invading. Okay, so ideological inheritors of this ideology, and apologies for not being able to pronounce these names properly, but Oleg Tianyabuk, who is the co-founder of Oleg Svoboda, he claims that he wants to purge Ukraine of Jewish people and Russians. He was ranked the 5th most anti-Semitic political leader on the planet in 2012. It just so happens he was a people's deputy in Ukraine up until 2002. But this guy right here,
2002?
co-founder of Svoboda.
2002? What? 20 years ago? Wait.
So, apologies for not being able to pronounce these names properly, but Oleg Tianyabuk, who is the co-founder of Oleg Svoboda, he claims that he wants to purge Ukraine of Jewish people and Russians. He was ranked the 5th most anti-Semitic political leader on the planet in 2012. It just so happens he was
in 2012, but he lost his rank in 2010. My bad, sorry. He was ranked giga anti-Semitic in 2012, but he lost his rank in 2002, over 10 years before.
People's deputy in Ukraine up until 2002. But this guy right here, who was a co-founder of Svoboda, also co-founded this ultra-nationalist right-wing party with Andrei Parubi. He was the leader of the Maidan protests. He was the one that helped organize the violence that was inflicted upon the what's assumed to be roughly 50 individuals who died in the massacres on February 20th of 2014 at Maidan. He was the speaker of one of the most recent parliaments, the chairs of one of the most recent parliaments in Ukraine. He was the leader of the Society to Erect the Stefan Bandera Monument in Ukraine. And he claims that Bandera was the most important person in Ukrainian history. So it's not just, and I could go down a list here. You could Maxim Marchenko. This individual, Zelensky replaced the civilian governor of Odessa, commander of the far-right Adair battalion. You have Viktor Yushchenko, who was president. He actually publicly, before leaving office, signed a decree stating that for an unbreakable spirit of heroism, self-sacrifice, and the struggle of the independence of Ukraine, I'm granting a status of hero of Ukraine to Stefan Bandera. You can look at tons of people. Andriy Belitsky, Ukrainian white nationalist. He was the co-founder of the Social National Assembly, first commander of the Azov Battalion. He's celebrated on TV shows. He was a big part of the Maidan protest.
So basically their entire thing that they're going to be doing here is, look, there was someone who said that he was good, but he was bad. They're Nazis, bro. Nazis are running the government. This is cherry picking? Yes, this is the definition of cherry picking. 100%. Yes. That's exactly what they're doing. It's pretty stupid, and anybody can see through it. Some dude says so. Yeah, some dude who lost his rank 20 years ago said something. They're basically all Nazis. If you don't think about it.
You can go down the line. Many members of deputies of the
30 more seconds.
People's Deputies of Ukraine, National Security and Defense Council, secretaries, all of these people within the Ukrainian military and government have had some sort of an ideological either sympathy to or participation in, a lot of these people have, with neo-Nazism. Okay, even, and this is the last thing I'll say regarding neo-Nazism. This is a shocking video. There's a video of some of the neo-Nazis who helped organize and carry out the Maidan coup, who said, if not for the 8% of neo-Nazis, the effectiveness of Maidan would have dropped by 90%. And these were the same people that were funded by, indirectly funded by U.S. agencies on the ground, like the National Endowment for Democracy. Last thing I'll say is
that was the last one that
Dylan
you
or
mentioned,
Destiny.
though.
Yeah, real quick.
Shut the
Just
fuck
as a
up.
quick response.
Please, these people talking.
The Azov battalion is marginal. Then why did Poroshenko in 2014 say they are our best fighters? Why did even the mainstream Western press report that as far as Ukraine's eastern operations were concerned, the Azov battalion was a vital unit? Why did the National
All
Guard?
right, that was the last question.
Yeah, we can answer 400
Please
questions.
stop it.
Just as a, so like,
I got to give him
They
a
made a
chance to respond.
Oh
so
my
just
God.
just as a, like a real quick thing, okay? Like you can go back as much as you want, like 20 years ago when Ukraine was barely a country for 10 years and the country was still mired in corruption, and try to say, well, these guys came from these parties that were like blah blah blah. Like, show me anti-Semitism in Ukraine, right? Ukraine is like one of the
last
most.
parliament.
Can I?
Anti-Semitism is the only-
There are a lot of points.
Yeah. So where is the anti-Semitism in Ukraine? Where is the Nazism in Ukraine? You can't point to the civil war happening in the east and going civilians are dying. That's
Nazism isn't just
you can't point towards people being killed extrajudiciously, people that are being invaded and genocided, people that are being deported from their lands. Because if you want to call that Nazism, then we just have to go over to the east and look at Putin. He's the biggest fucking Nazi alive right now. So the idea that in and of itself qualifies as anti-Semitism when Ukraine is probably the least anti-Semitic country in Europe, according to the Ukrainian Jewish Center, or according to the Ukrainian Jewish Encounter, at least. When you look at the fact that people in Poland.
I'm not sure about all Europe. I haven't seen what he's looking at, but I do know they are the least anti-Semitic country in Eastern Ukraine. They're the least anti-Semitic country in Eastern Europe. I do know that much. That's true, and I think that's pretty sick. I think that's some of the coolest heckin' beans, broski. That's just me though. Russia also had Nazis. Yeah, I'm not sure if they're going to bring up the fact that Russia has Nazis working in their government. They've been with Putin. Putin's given actual genuine Nazis and Nazi groups in his government awards. He's taken pictures with them. He's heralded them as being like saviors of the country and everything. Like, I'm not sure if he's gonna bring that up, but they're going to bring that up. That's a pretty big thing though. Jewish anger.
Are so eager and keen to take on people that are fleeing from Ukraine. Like we don't see this mass persecution of Jewish people in Ukraine. We don't see any like rampant anti-Semitism in Ukraine. You can go back all you want and point to like one hero that was nominated by an outgoing prime minister, or you can point to these people that in the very beginning came from far parties. But there's just no evidence today that there is this rampant anti-Semitism, this rampant Nazism in Ukraine. It doesn't exist.
Where are you getting this idea that the only measurement of Nazism is anti-Semitism?
There are a lot of points.
Nazism was also racist.
Thank you very much.
Please stop it.
There's also something that's
Thank
really
God.
interesting here, and it's that Nazism seems to matter so much on one side. Nobody cares about the neo-Nazi militias fighting on side by side with Russian soldiers. Nobody even brings them up. The Russian National Unity Movement and the militias fighting on behalf of the Donetsk People's Republics. That isn't brought up. Why? Because those are inconvenient Nazis. Those are Nazis on the Russian side. People don't talk about the fact that we're talking about the Nazis are bad. Why are the Nazis bad? Obviously because they put people in concentration camps and they slaughter people and all the war crimes that he brings up. But the fact that the same people involved in putting homosexuals in concentration camps are right now within Ukraine fighting against the Ukrainian government, that isn't something of concern. I heard them laugh when I talked about Belarus, the Belarusian dictator, Lukashenko, praising Adolf Hitler. These things are inconvenient facts because the problem is, right, and this is the fact of the matter, there are Nazis fucking everywhere across this conflict. But the problem is the people want to hype up the Nazis on one side to make them the Nazis because Slavic people have a terrible history with Nazis. If you can make your opponent the Nazis, then boom, they're the bad guys. Anything you do against them is justified. If I could stand here and tell you that Russia is a Nazi state, I could bring up the fact that 5% of Ukrainians believe that Jews should not be allowed to be citizens, while 15% of Russians believe that thing. Almost triple that statistic. I could bring up the Lukashenko quotes about Hitler. I could bring up the gays being put in concentration camps in Russian territory. I could bring up the neo-Nazis militias and say, so Russia is a Nazi
Go
state.
off, King.
But that would be dishonest. But I'm seeing that dishonesty from both of you right now trying to paint Ukraine a Nazi state, and I don't even think Jackson and Infrared got their points in order. Jackson's saying that they are anti-Semitic Nazis, Infrared saying that these are Nazis who love the Jews. I can't even keep track.
I didn't fucking say that. What I actually said was
Yeah,
that
okay,
the emphasis on anti-Semitism may not be as strong as the emphasis on pan-European supremacism and racial exterminationism, but that's the fucking point. And moreover, the movement for national unity is not at all fucking relevant or prevalent within
They're
the fucking
fighting.
Donbass.
They're
It's
fighting.
what?
Hold on.
No, they're just like, they're Nazis, but they're like actually super okay with, see, they're like Nazis, but they're like really okay with Jews. That's why that's why almost 80% of them voted for a Jewish president. See? Like see what they really care about, all right, is they're like super anti-Semitic, but they're like okay with Jews. They're like super cool. They're like super cool with them. They're like their friends. Sure, buddy. I guess. That's why 80% of them voted in Zelensky.
Yeah, they're nowhere near as relevant or proportional to the fucking forces of the Russians that are fighting in the Donbass as is the Azov battalion. They're marginal. They're completely marginal.
But
they're Islamophobic. The Chechens are fighting. The Chechens are right now a very important part of Russia's operation right now. You think the Chechens are working alongside these totally Islamophobic prevalent forces? No,
Yes.
they're not prevalent. They're fucking
Yes.
completely marginal.
And
these
if you take
No,
into
they're not.
account the premise of what started this entire conflict back in 2014, the Euromaidan protests and the violence that ensued there, and the fact that it was co-opted by these coup leaders that were Western backed. You do have to acknowledge that the
POV,
effort
cool leader.
to accomplish this and the success of the movement was led in great part thanks to Andrei Perubi, who is the speaker of one of the most
Yo, they
recent
can't pronounce
parliaments,
any
and
of
the
these words.
chair of one of the most recent parliaments in Ukraine. This is the guy who literally sparked the entire conflict. Another thing I heard you say that was even maybe more damning than the fact that you falsely claimed that the president was impeached when he wasn't impeached was when you said that you claimed that, or maybe it was Destiny actually. I might be.
He has no clue what's going on.
One of you said that Crimea was illegally invaded by Russia. I'd just be curious, like, hear your thoughts on that more, and whether or not you respect the will of the Crimean people who voted in a referendum overwhelmingly to legally join the Russian Federation. 96.77% voted in favor of joining the Russian Federation.
Was that after the invasion?
2.51%
Yes.
supported.
Hey, listen, we invaded them, but the wild shit is that if you think about it, after the invasion, all of them were like pretty cool with it. After we asked them if they still wanted us to stay here, after we asked them if they wanted to be invaded, after we invaded them, they all said that it was pretty cool. Come on, free and fair referendum after we invaded them, as you see.
Staying in Ukraine.
Jackson, was that after Russia invaded Crimea? They held that referendum, right? I just want to get that
What
fact
do you
right.
what do you
We can
find
talk
as a
about the
Russian-
specifics.
Well, I just want to hear yes or no.
Wait,
Jackson, was that the
Crimea
Russian
declared
Russian referendum they held
independence
after they invaded?
Crimea
What do you
declared
find?
independence first.
Listen, what do you find as a
Crimea
Russian
declared
invasion? Because
independence
going
before
back
the
to
invasion.
1804,
What do you-
there's been
wait.
Russian.
What do you call a Russian invasion? Because like some Russians were there at some point in time in 1804. There are words that I want to say that I just cannot say. In 1804, okay, 1804.
In Crimea.
The invasion of when
if
they
you
took
say that
over,
since
when they invaded Crimea.
1804,
You can't answer
You
that
wanna-
question.
I gotta- wait, I gotta-
Not gonna answer that question.
I gotta respond.
Continuously
20 more seconds.
invading Ukraine despite the fact that they have had troops there since 1804, then sure, we'll call it an invasion, but we both know it's not an invasion.
The
And
Crimeans
regardless,
declared their independence
overwhelmingly to
before the Russian
support
invasion,
joining
just
the
like the
Russian
people in the
Federation.
Donbass did. Just like the
Having
people in the
troops-
Donbass
having
did.
troops-
Wait, they declared their independence before they were invaded? So were they invaded or were they not, bud? It was an invasion, but it wasn't an invasion, but it was a good invasion, but they like invaded after they declared independence though. What the fuck are you talking about?
Troops stationed in a port is not the same as
Crimeans-
taking over the
Crimeans
entire
got
peninsula.
separated from the
Info,
Ukrainian
welcome.
government.
What's your evidence
before
they took over the
Russians
entire
came.
peninsula?
Okay.
Because there are plenty of videos on the ground of people saying they are not threatening anybody. They're here peacefully. They've been here. This is not
Who
a
has
new-
sovereignty
this
right
is
now over
not
the Crimean
new,
Peninsula? I'm
and
sorry.
they
Who
voted
who
overwhelmingly in
owns
favor.
who administers right now to the region of the Crimean Peninsula? Is it the
Who
Ukrainian
administers?
government? Yeah, or is it the Russian government?
It's a part of the Russian Federation since they voted.
Okay,
to
so what does it
legally
mean
join
to
the Russian
and
Federation?
they voted that? Who held that referendum?
The referendum was organized by the people of Crimea.
Under who? It
They
was
had
a
not joined
Russian
the Russian
organized
Federation.
referendum
Not joined
that
the
had
Russian
it was
Federation.
organized
Organized
He's
by
lying.
the
That's
Ukrainians.
he's lying.
Gentlemen, I
And
need
I-
you to
wait,
just-
He's lying. He's lying.
Everybody, pardon my interruption. Just to be sure that Jackson, did you feel like you had enough time to answer that last question from Steven?
Sure.
Got you. Okay, and then I think Stephen, you were asking.
So a referendum that's not recognized by any other country in the world, including Ukraine, obviously.
Why don't
the
you want to
idea that you
recognize
could
it?
invade the idea that you could invade some part of a country and then hold a referendum there to see if those people want to stick with you or not? Even if we granted all of that they did say yes, you can't just have populations referendum away parts of your country's sovereign territory to other invading nation states. That's just not how that works. Even if that was the case, even if that, I don't care what's interesting here. Even if that was the case, that doesn't work that way in any other part of the world.
Yeah, that's not what happened. That's not what fucking happened.
Respecting the results.
Listen, Destiny. One of the ways.
No, wait, dude. Hold on.
Please shut the
James,
fuck up.
seriously, they can't just throw out like 50.
I'm begging
I didn't
you.
talk at all. I didn't even answer your question.
All right,
I didn't even get to answer his question.
Let me respond to what you
Not
said.
to mention the fact that,
gentlemen,
stop
I hate to
talking.
do this, but I do want to say, Dylan, is there anything you want to clean up on behalf of Destiny? Because
Yeah,
we haven't heard from you for a while.
there's two things.
please,
The
God.
first thing I wanted to bring up is that I didn't hear from Infrared really. He just said the Chechens are fighting the yes, but Chechens involved in putting homosexuals in concentration camp or
That doesn't
currently
make them
active.
Nazis. That
Wait,
does not
no,
make them
listen to me. Whether or
Even
not
if those
wait, let me
allegations-
finish. Whether they're Nazis or not specifically doesn't matter because
Okay, then just say
let me finish. Let me finish. Jesus,
just say
I don't care. Shut up. I don't care. Okay, I'm trying to finish my point.
So true.
I think that people who put people in concentration camps, minority groups, should not be involved in any active combat zone anywhere. In fact, they should not even be allowed to hold governmental positions.
So,
and I'm not finished, and so you should stop talking. And so, with that in mind, and knowing when you guys talking about all these war crimes and everything that was so terrible, I think it's weird that we can just look past the fact that one of the people involved currently in fighting the Ukrainians are the same people who shoved people in concentration camps in Chechnya. Also, it's weird that you are fine downplaying your guys' Nazis. You admit, I guess they are Nazis fighting on behalf of your guys' side. You'll downplay your own Nazis and upplay the other side's Nazis because your Nazis, again, are inconvenient. It's inconvenient that there's Nazis on your side. And so instead of being like, there's no Nazis on our side, these Nazis are fighting a campaign of denazification.
Also,
Dylan,
too,
you
I
listed-
one last thing. Earlier response to Jackson's doing Nazi shit.
I was almost done. Also, Jackson, one last thing. Jackson,
Dylan's talked too much. It's my fault.
1 second. Okay, wait 1 second. All right, I do want to give Infrared a brief
Thank
chance.
you.
And Destiny, I know you have a couple of points you want to make. So, Infrared, I want to give you a chance.
Yeah, let's go.
Maybe
So the first
2
thing is
minutes
very
at the
clear.
most.
Dylan, I know that you're in favor of a Nazi, pan-European supremacist, but LGBT-friendly
What?
ideology. I already know.
What am I listening? Dylan, well known for wanting the pan-European Nazi brigade. Many people have said this. The what? Wait, I want to hear that again.
Okay.
One last thing.
Wait, is he unironically doing the homo fascist thing? Is he like Dylan the homo fascist? Is he unironically? This shit is. I love it. I love it so much. Dylan, I know you're a homo fascist already.
Jackson is doing
One
Nazi
last
shit.
I was almost done. Also, Jackson, one last thing. Jackson,
He hates gay people so
One
much.
second.
He hates gay people so
Okay,
much.
wait 1
bro.
second. All right, I
Shit's
do want to give
insane.
Infrared a brief chance, and then
So
Destiny,
true,
I know you have
Marjorie.
a couple of points you want to make. So, Infrared, I want to give you a chance.
Yeah, let's go.
Maybe
So the first
2
thing is
minutes
very
at the
clear.
most.
Dylan, I know that you're in favor of a Nazi, pan-European supremacist, but LGBT-friendly ideology. I already know that, okay?
It's true. He's actually doing it. Homo fascist. Homo fascist. I got any homo fascists in chat? I got any peepos who do be loving their homosexual Nazism? Many people have said this before. Homo fascism. Me. Me. It's all I think about, really. Me, Pepe. Homo fash. We do be loving some homo fascism. I don't know. I mean, have you seen how much Dylan talks about, like, haha, I'm gay, ha. You know how Dylan does that? That's him telling you. That's him telling you that he's down with the homo fascism. He's always like, haha, well, I'm so gay, haha. Well, I'm so gay, haha. He always does that. Makes me sick. Disgusting.
I agree. It's probably true that there's homophobia in Chechnya. They're very much more in favor of more traditional values. That's their business. As far as concentration camps are concerned, I've seen no.
What? Yeah, they're like super homophobic. That's their business, though. What the fuck? Why is he talking about it? Why is he talking about it like, honestly, like they're gay? What the fuck am I listening to? That's their business, dude. Leave them alone. They can get up with throwing gay people off roofs. Can we talk some more about this fascism that I invented? That's the really important thing here.
No fucking evidence for that, throwing them in concentration camps. But even if I were to grant you that that was true, that still doesn't make them fucking Nazis who want to exterminate whole peoples because of their fucking nationality or their race or their ethnic origins. You seem to think that's not as bad or that's some kind of equivalent, right? But I don't think that's a fucking equivalent. I don't think having a conservative country, which I don't agree with persecuting sexual minorities, I just don't think that's on the same fucking level as being a goddamn fucking Nazi.
I don't
You seem to
agree
not
with
fucking care about that
persecuting
distinction.
minorities.
Now you're saying that I'm downplaying the Nazis on the Russian side because they're not convenient. Never mind the fucking fact that in terms of the objective significance they have compared to the fucking Azov battalion on the Ukrainian side, they are nowhere near as fucking relevant. They're not significant.
Please,
They are marginal.
stop. Please help me. This audio, bro. I've been trying to turn it down. It's just like he's entered aggro mode. He's entered aggro mode. Somebody goddamn stop him. I'm losing my mind, man. This shit is not good. This is not good.
Crazy.
They are
So bad.
marginal.
Yeah, okay, I thought it was. Well, infrared.
No, they're not.
Infrared, what?
Can we pull up? Does anybody have that picture of that Nazi who was gifted an award by Putin? Does anybody have that? Yeah, any peepos have that on hand? Because I think I'd love to see it. That like skinhead Nazi.
1 second.
Objective.
Hold on. I just need you
Please
to
shut the fuck
I
up.
thought I did sense something too. It did seem like your volume
jacked his
did go
shit
like
up.
20
Oh, yeah.
20 seconds ago. It did seem like something.
Yeah, because you're making every
He did it on purpose. He turned up his own audio to screech louder on purpose. Federal prison is where he belongs. Federal prison is where he belongs. Yo, fuck this guy. What the fuck? Wow. Yeah. he is actually. I need to. People weren't even talking over him. What was his problem, man? Why is he so fucking cringe? The hell?
everybody louder
Alright.
than me.
No, I promise I'm not.
Nobody was talking over you. If you stop talking over people, there'd be no reason for people to talk over you, bestie. What are you talking about? I'm losing it. I'm losing it so much.
Is that Russian
I mean, I don't even know
propaganda?
how to do
Hey.
that.
I mean, these
Because people
Nazis,
in my chat
these
are
are,
telling you that.
Dude, he's right. The Kremlin gremlin. He's at it again. The Kremlin gremlin. He won't stop it. I need to turn on my audio. No one can hear me. Just damn. Shut the hell up, man. I do love the Kremlin gremlin. So good.
People in my own
I
chat
do
are
want
telling
to
you that.
infrared. I can give you 20 seconds in terms
Yeah.
of wrapping up the
20
point, but
more?
then I've got to
Yeah.
kick it over to Steven.
Dylan
Goddamn, 20 more
It's
seconds?
just inconvenient for me, rather than the actual reality being the fact that the Russian nationalists and the Russian neo-Nazis are completely marginal in the Donbass, whereas the Azov battalion are not. He mentioned something also about Lukashenko's out of comments that were taken out of context. Lukashenko is an anti-fascist, 100% anti-Nazi, 100% anti-Hitler.
Piposhenko.
We can actually get into the nitty-gritty of what proves and backs that up too. You took some statements he made out of context.
Steven's been waiting for a while to respond.
yeah, so just to reiterate again, the Azov battalion is not making up the brunt of the fighting forces in Eastern
Yeah,
Ukraine.
in Eastern
This is an
Ukraine, they
incredibly
were.
small,
I
this
gotta
is
get
a-
They're
They're not.
This is a
Please,
small battalion
please.
of like less than 3,000 fighters. The idea that these people are making up the majority of Ukraine's forces is just not true. And even of the Azov battalion, only a minority of these
Nobody
people
said
are
they're
neo-Nazis.
numerically
Even of the Azov battalion, a minority of people are.
Oh wait, no one said numerically the majority. They're like the majority, but like they're like the brunt. They're the spear tip. There's like 5 of them, but they're like leading the fight.
Nazis. There are problems there for sure, but this claim that there is a broader Nazi problem in Ukraine, I mean, at this point, maybe there is. If we're defining Nazis as people that are pro-LGBT,
That's true. He
and
do be hitting that
pro-Semitism,
Biden crack.
I don't know what kind of Nazis these are, or what makes them Nazis. Aside from earlier, you said they kill people, which I guess
European
everybody on the
supremacist
planet
racist.
is everybody's Nazi. I don't like Hitler wasn't going for like pro-European supremacy.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yo, why do these people exist, bro? What have we done? Why are we here? Just to suffer? Is that true? Are we here just to suffer? I'm starting to wonder. Yeah, dude, Slavic people and Nordic people, dude. He loved them so. Poles love them to death, man. Pro-European supremacy, 100%. The Nazi understander. Maybe he's trying to throw us off the scent because he's the Nazi. Have we thought about that yet? People think.
I would like.
Did you really just say he wasn't going for European supremacy? In his last fucking speech, he talked about how Europe will be triumphant against the hordes coming from Central Asia.
Europe who? Every member of Europe, every state that he invaded.
Yes, he was a European supremacist.
He turned his audio. Someone, Ghost of Kiev. I beg of you. You are a strong fighter, and you're doing so much for Ukraine. I beg of you. There are more. Wait, I gotta be careful what I say. I beg of you, okay? The fight is not only in your borders. They are outside as well. Ghost of Kiev, pay attention. Strong soldier. Help, Ghost of Kiev, help us. Ghost of Kiev, if you're out there, stop him. Yeah, we do need a hyper target. We need a hyper precision, specially targeted airstrike on specifically his audio setup. and that's it. Just take it out, okay? Just tiny like Stuart Little missile strike the
He was a Western European supremacist.
his microphone cable, and that just slice it right off, right where it stands. I beg of you, Ghost of Kiev, if you're out there, if you're listening, if you're listening, we need you. Okay, the time has come. Liberate microphone. I hate how he has to turn himself up.
You consider Western Europeans
I just want to. I'm just
and
curious.
everyone else to be subhuman.
Would you characterize the Nazism of Germany as having a large anti-Semitic component and having a large ethnic component, where that ethnicity is not defined as a European?
The Aryan is literally Western European for the Nazis. That's literally what it is.
Okay.
I would like
Okay,
to
because you're a little bitch.
Jackson,
And you never
Jackson
fucking
has a
defend
point.
what you just said because
Jackson
you're
would like to
fucking
jump
wrong.
in. Let's have Jackson. Go ahead.
I would like to just say one thing really quick and then a broader point. So Destiny seems to be just hyper focusing on the Azov battalion, which yes is making up the brunt of the violent aggression against the people of Donetsk and Luhansk, which keep in mind that war, 81% of the civilian deaths that have taken place there in the past 3 years took place on the side of Donetsk and Luhansk. But as I mentioned, the people who literally led this group, just say one thing really quick and then a broader point. So Destiny seems to be just hyper focusing on the Azov battalion, which yes is
Destiny's hyper focusing on the Azov battalion. It's Destiny who's the one who's doing this. Really, it's him. Shark, I'm nauseous. I wanted to play Elden Ring tonight. I'm so sad. I have developed peak depression because of this. Trying to watch this debate was so bad. The projection. It's like
game is very real.
They're the ones who brought it up and said that the Azov battalion is the vanguard of racism of anti-Semitism in Ukraine. Shit's insane. I'm losing my mind.
Making up
on the other hand
of the violent
aggression
against the people of Donetsk and Luhansk, which keep in mind that war, 81% of the civilian deaths that have taken place there in the past 3 years took place on the side of Donetsk and Luhansk.
What does that mean? 83% of the deaths in Donetsk and Luhansk, but let's just say the Donbass. 83% of the deaths that happened in the Donbass happened on the side of the Donbass. Dang. Can anybody translate dumbass for me? What is he saying? Genuinely, what is he saying? Ukrainians died? Yeah. Russians are shelling them. Yeah.
But as I mentioned, the people who literally led this coup are the ultra-nationalist right-wingers, many of whom, but not all, are anti-Semites and encompass this neo-Nazi, ideology. You seem to be leaving that out, and I can guess the motive why.
Why do you keep
to get to the broader point here, Destiny? A few minutes ago,
the people talk.
It's not okay for, and I'm paraphrasing, so if you want to rephrase this after the fact, go for it. It's not okay for troops to come into what you recognize as a sovereign country and forcibly bring about a change of power. I think that's, we can both agree, right? So why is it that you think that
No, you can't. What do you mean we can both agree? No, you don't agree. What? You do not agree. Yeah, I don't know. Is it sarcasm? Is he being sarcastic here? I don't speak shithead. Is he being sarcastic? We can both agree. Totally. All right, bucko. Oh, you see.
It's okay, I guess, for these far-right paramilitary groups that encompass this neo-Nazi ideology to hijack the Maidan protests, massacre people on February 20th when the protests were actually dying down and people were going home, and cause all of this violence to spiral out of control. And then when negotiations are going on between some of these neo-Nazis and the Yanukovych government to try and bring about pre-term elections to restore some order to the Ukrainian government with Yanukovych, the neo-Nazi factions, again, like Andrei Parubi, who was the leader, the commandant of the Euromaidan protests, he ordered upon his paramilitary individuals to continue blockading, to continue, holding their ground, so to speak, and holding their ground throughout the entirety of this protest meant raining down hellfire upon both protesters and police to incite.
Pull up the video of pull up the video of what Russia is doing to Ukraine right now. He wants to talk about raining down hellfire.
More violence.
Fuck this guy.
There's been countless
They're such bad people.
Activists who provided a testimony that they were the snipers. It was not members of the Ukrainian police who were doing this.
I am the ghost of Kiev.
Wait, so do you not believe that Yanukovych ordered his special military people to fire on protesters? You think that's just completely and totally bullshit?
Oh, 100%. There's no evidence, and in fact, the
Ukraine's Ministry of Internal Affairs literally says as much. Why do you say there's no evidence of that?
Because the Ukrainian investigation,
I don't want to believe it.
The special investigation into this, actually did not make any initial charges against people who were involved in this. And again, in the
Wait, they didn't make
testimonies
charges
for
because
this-
Yanukovych wasn't even given guarantees that he wouldn't be charged. That's why he fled to Russia. Unlike the prior prime minister that was able to have a transfer of power because he was guaranteed he wouldn't be charged. Yanukovych wasn't given
The
any
nervous
such
laughing.
guarantee.
Do you
That's
wanna
why he
let me
left the
finish my
country.
point here as to why I'm right.
Not really. Also, earlier you said
Hold
you
on,
keep
let me
citing the
just
fact that
hear
you
from
keep
Jack.
citing the fact that you keep
So
citing the fact that in the
you
East.
say-
Wait, hold on, I barely talked. This guy's like rambling so much. I haven't responded to half what the shit you guys said. There's no details, whose findings, not a one-off media interview. Really. Also, earlier you said you keep citing the fact that you keep citing the fact that in the East. Wait, hold on, I barely talked. This guy's like rambling so much. I haven't responded to half what the shit you guys said.
That there's no evidence for this, so I'm going to answer the
I promise
question.
we'll come right back to you, Stephen.
Help me, please.
So you said, why do I think that there's no evidence for this or whatever? So the Ukrainian investigation, they didn't find any. And in fact, again, there's been several Maidan leaders and activists who provided testimonies, while 14 self-admitted members of the Maidan sniper units admitted in media interviews.
Lindsey Graham called for Putin's assassination. Is that true? What the fuck? Lindsey, is there Brutus in Russia? Is there a more successful Colonel Stauffenberg in the Russian military? The way this ends is for somebody in Russia to take the guy out. You would be doing your country and the world a great service. He's like, I fucking love nuclear war. He's like, we gotta snipe him. I saw Putin's head. Drop him. Holy shit. All right, man, chill. Hang on now. Watch out. Let's not get hasty when it comes to assassinating. When it comes to public officials saying that they want to assassinate leaders. Okay, calm down.
To the Maidan massacre, to sniping police and protesters. Several former members of the Georgian military testified that they and other groups of Maidan snipers in Hotel Ukraina, where these bullets were coming from. And the investigation actually proved that bullets were coming from here. They just never actually went to the extent of saying who was in the hotel.
So
Wait,
much
do you want to
bullshit
kick it over
in
to
such a
Stephen?
short period of
Just
time.
because I did give you a chance to answer the question. So
It's
jump
insane.
back to
Oh, there's a
Stephen.
lot of evidence. So if Stephen wants the full answer, you know, he should be willing to get the full answer.
There's like 20 different things I haven't responded to. So who's
change the
findings?
goalpost.
I'm not changing. You're the one that's adding a new goalpost at the end of every single sentence you've said.
You literally said what's right.
They can't stay on a single point.
Okay, hold on. Wait, okay. Are we doing this right now? Is this what we need to do to get
There you
the
go.
conversation going?
Everybody turn up their mics.
Okay.
Here we go.
So who do you side with? Who's ruling? What organization, what government's ruling do you side with that said that police did not fire upon protesters during the Euromaidan?
What side do I side with?
No, whose investigation are you citing? Whose details? Whose findings? Not a one-off media interview that was posted on Russia Today or not.
I'm referring to the testimonies given by the snipers themselves.
Testimony to who? Why would you only agree? Why would you only look at some testimony? Why wouldn't you look at the overall ruling of the Ukrainian Interior Ministry?
Because the Ukrainian investigation did not place fault on either side, though according to the testimonies themselves, they admitted fault for doing this.
It's not that they didn't place fault on that. They explicitly said that Yanukovych ordered his police to fire upon the protesters. Do you deny that they said that?
They did not place blame on them. No.
Why do you keep saying place blame? Who's saying place blame?
What? So they didn't place blame. What they said was that he told them to kill those people, but they didn't place blame on the incident to anyone. What the fuck are you saying? Baby brain. If you guys are wondering what's happening, what we're looking at is baby brain. All right? He's losing it. Yeah, because they're both baby they don't understand when they're losing.
Who did they charge? Because
I don't know if it was I don't think it was their role to charge anybody. And Yanukovych already fled the country.
It was their role to place charges. They didn't place charges because they couldn't find evidence that the police did this. In fact, the reason why Destiny, why can't you give me an answer for this? There were testimonies that the Maidan, the Maidan organizers were the snipers who shot at police and protesters. We have forensic examinations as well by government ballistic experts, which determined that about a dozen cases that the protesters were shot from Maidan-controlled structures, including the hotel. A forensic ballistic examination found that the bullets killed protesters did not match bullet samples from the police. I mean, I could go on and on. Why are you making assumptions without looking at the evidence itself?
Because I feel like I would rather rely on the overall rulings or findings of the entire committee rather than just trying to go off of some of the testimony that you might have found given by some of the officers that may have.
My God, he's trying to be goddamn he's trying to be goddamn Inspector Gadget, and he thinks that he can figure this all out by himself. Like, we can't. You weren't there. You weren't researching it. Like, you can look at the stuff that was brought up, but you don't know exactly what happened. You weren't there, bro. How about the people who actually were on the ground and who were researching it? What did they say? Inspector Dipshit. I love Inspector Dipshit. My favorite character, honestly. I love the guy. I love him to death.
May not have been involved.
Well, I could go on more, but you have to understand that this
Please
committee,
don't.
at the end of the day, is being
People
controlled
talk.
by the coup government who actually carried out this operation.
But earlier you had no problems going by information that comes from the Russian State Department about stuff going on in Ukraine.
Yes.
Ask
I'm
the
not talking
Nazis
about
if,
that right
the
now. I'm
victims
talking
were
about
guilty.
this. Wow,
Ask
I'm
the Nazis
actually.
Well, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. So yes, I only listen to the Russian State Department because they would never lie to me. Papa Putin loves me. All right. Papa Putin loves his son. He would never lie to me. Unlike you, filthy, stinky Destiny. Nice one.
Looking at this investigation fairly and honestly, and you made the accusation that it was police from the Ukrainian, security services that fired down. Now you're getting caught in a little, a little problem here. So you're trying to deflect back to earlier discussions. Why did you make that claim without evidence?
Why did Yanukovych flee the country when he wasn't given a guarantee that he'd be prosecuted? If he
It
didn't
was
do
a
anything
coup
wrong?
government that was going to
Why do you
fucking
keep
drum
changing
shit
the
up.
subject?
It was a coup
Destiny?
government that was led by the
Why
guy
do
that he
you
was
keep
going to make
changing
his
the
prime
subject?
minister anyway.
Destiny, I just want to say one last thing on this.
No, it's
point.
a Julius
You're
Caesar
refusing
situation,
to
man. They're gonna kill
acknowledge
him.
the reality of the situation. Most people consider what took place on February 20th, when 49 individuals were killed, as the most controversial hours in any European conflict since the end of the Cold War. It was the precipice for this coup. It was what launched all of this conflict into action, so to speak. So the fact that it was a false flag attack led by the coup protesters themselves, the militia organizers themselves, to try and get
Everything's a false
backing
flag.
and to try and incite more chaos in the streets when the protests were dying down, is a very, very important note when you look at the broader context of all of this, and the fact that after the coup that took place because of this, that is what sparks the increased aggression in the Donbass, and that is what also sparks the increased aggression against protesters in Odessa who are fighting back against the coup government.
You have no evidence to support any.
Who need they Don Bussy ate? Oh my god, me. Someone asked Hinkle why he took Assad money. Yeah, I hope Dylan asked that question. I think it's a really important question. Why he took Assad money. I think I want to answer that.
That there was
personally.
Western backing to any of these people, that any of this was a false flag. Everything you're going off of is complete conjecture. The testimony of one or two, I've got testimony in the United States of Bigfoot and UFOs abducting people. The testimonies of one or two people.
But that's
doesn't prove
true.
Any of the claims
That's true
you're
though. That's true.
Let's just actually go to U.S. involvement in this, because I have a lot of
Why are we pivoting again?
Themselves who admitted that they were funding to the Maidan coup organizers. So first of all, we have Victoria Nuland and Jeffrey Piot, who were two U.S. diplomats, U.S. Ukrainian diplomats at the time, who have a viral leaked phone conversation admitting to the fact that they were handpicking the coup government.
In that conversation, where?
You want me to send you the link to it?
No, because I've already read the entire conversation. They don't
And
admit
what did that
ever.
conversation say?
They never said anything about handpicking the new government. It wouldn't even make
Really?
sense.
Really?
Yes, really.
Yes.
Give me the quote where they say that.
Do you want
Give me the
to read it
quote where
for
they
you?
say that. Yeah, read it.
Okay. We have a leaked phone call here. They said, fuck the EU, referencing to the fact that the EU was not being aggressive enough during this whole situation. And then we said, or we have Victoria Nuland here say, Yats, referring to Yatsenyuk, is the guy who's got the economic experience, she said, referring to opposition leader Arseniy Yatsenyuk, who backed the devastating neoliberal policies that were demanded by the West. So they were discussing whether or not Yatsenyuk was going to be an effective leader in the new government. And they were saying, well, maybe this person should be directly outside of the new government with Yatsenyuk. And Destiny, guess who ended up becoming the
Hold
new
on, real
prime
quick, because you
minister
keep
after
pivoting,
the-
asking questions and commentary. None of this
Destiny, guess
shows
who ended
them
up
picking a
becoming the
leader.
new-
As
Oh my gosh. They were just like talking about who would make a good leader. And they're like, yeah, this guy would make a good leader. And he's like, they're trying to overthrow. How do you live with yourself being such a goober? That's my question. How do you wake up in the morning and you're like, today I want to be a goober. This is my calling. Having opinions is conspiracy. So true. That's
you
true
said,
though. That's
Yatsenyuk
true.
was already the opposition leader. Where is this idea that they picked
Who
him?
became the prime minister?
For after what do you
the
mean?
coup. Look at
Who was
the
already
big
the
brain
opposition
of
leader?
this.
Opposition
Good
leader.
job,
He was
buddy.
already the opposition leader. He already had 370 plus votes in the parliament. What do you mean?
Well, while the government was being run out, they talked about how the opposition leader, who was already winning, would make a good president. And guess what happened after that? He won. Curious, isn't it? Curious how that works, isn't it?
Andrei Purby, was
The guy who was already winning won. Curious.
Maidan coup leader. He was the real
No,
opposition.
wait. Where is the evidence that he was
handpicked?
handpicked? How was he
Why could he
handpicked?
not become?
Wait, what? Because he didn't have the backing in parliament
He
for
became the
it.
chair of parliament.
No.
Why could he have not become the leader?
No, you're pivoting. Where is the evidence that this guy was handpicked by the United States? That he was pushed by the United States?
Victoria Nuland.
A conversation about this guy saying he would be good when he's already the opposition leader is not evidence of him being handpicked by the West.
Well, there was
that's
multiple
not a
people in
sign
that
that they're
conversation that
handpicking
they were
him. They're
going
just
back
saying
and
he's
forth.
good.
Yeah, they're going
No,
back and forth
there's no
discussing
evidence.
potential. Yeah, you have no evidence. This is
Oh no, wait, has Hawes even abandoned him? No, he's been abandoned by everyone. Everyone's calling him stupid. No, dude. No. Hawes is calling him stupid. His Hawes' shadow fighter. Look, he's stunned. He's stun locked. He's shocked. He has no clue what to do. No. Everybody, his papa. Destiny's making fun of him. Dylan looks like he wants to kill himself. Hawes is saying that he's dumb. It's all over. His world is shattering right in front of his eyes. Oh my gosh. Huge F. Huge F. I've never seen an L this big in my entire life. Can we make that an emote? Wait.
everything you do.
Just Destiny or
How is that no evidence?
Wait.
If
Okay,
there's
let's-
evidence in the phone call of two diplomats saying, "Man, this leader in this country would be so awesome," and yeah, that other one sucks. You think that's
It just
evidence
so happens that
of an
she
assessment
admitted-
to?
It just so happens, Destiny, that she admitted that the U.S. Stoked this coup with $5 billion in previous years to lead these regime change operations.
Wait,
That
where did
doesn't-
she admit
did
that?
the
Where did she admit that?
$5
Read that quote.
either?
Read that quote. Read that
Read
quote
it.
where she admit that.
Okay, I will. Give me
Okay.
1 second here.
Can we all sit in silence while he reads and wait for it? I want to hear that quote where she says, "The United States sent $5 billion in aid to stoke this coup."
Let me pull it up.
And if he pulls it up, will you admit you're wrong?
Yeah, if he has that quote, I would be interested in hearing that. We don't have to be silent. I'm sorry, Dylan. Go ahead.
Give
I'd
me
also
1
be
second.
interested-
I will-
Chill.
Silence while he reads and wait for it. I want to hear that quote where she says, "The United States sent $5 billion in aid to stoke this coup."
Let me pull it up.
And if he pulls it up, will you admit you're wrong?
Yeah, if he has that quote, I would be interested in hearing that.
And we wait.
We don't have to be silent. I'm sorry, Dylan. Go ahead.
I wanted to send
I
you
will
for
exactly where the $5
donking.
billion went. I would be interested in that too.
Oh yeah, would this be? Do you guys think that this would be a good emote? Yeah, rethonk. What about a second? I got an idea. 1 second. I promise. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's it right there. Buffering. What do you all think? You like it? I love it. The hink think. I'm thonking. Hinkle! Ah, there you go. That's it. That's what I wanted to hear. A little smaller and off to the side. Well, it's gonna be an emote, so it's gonna be pretty small already. This is, now that I'm looking at it more, this is a good He's thinking. Daddy Putin? He's thinking about the Kremlin gremlin. All right. I like it. No Bulgars. I kind of want a burger, but it's like 12. I don't think burgers are open right now. I'm pretty
In the
sad.
meantime, folks, our guests are linked in the description. If you haven't already clicked on there, you can hear more from them.
Also, I would just like to say that there is tons of evidence of the Chechen government putting gays in concentration camps from multiple news outlets.
Well,
Testimony.
that's not what we're debating.
Dylan, they don't care.
Well, but the thing is,
Dylan, they
think
actually
you have
don't
to
care.
So I'm
acknowledge-
just acknowledging.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
happened.
Well, we can debate that another time.
Yeah,
but for
yeah.
now, what we're saying is that
Yeah. They're throwing gay people in concentration camp. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Who cares? Anyways, did you hear this story about someone maybe being crucified? Ukrainians are basically Nazis, bro.
is not the same as Nazism.
Okay, but is that of concern? Do you think?
Wait,
If I was
Nazis are. Wait. Oh yeah, he actually thinks that like Nazis are He actually thinks that Nazis are not homophobic. My bad. He actually believes in what's it called? Homofascism. So he's kind of pogging with it.
Chechen, I would be opposed to it, but I don't
Okay.
live in Chechnya. It's not my
So,
business.
do you think that fighters who put
It's
gay
not
people
my
in
business,
concentration camps should
okay.
be active in combat in
You
Ukraine?
cannot make the racist claim that all Chechen.
Wait, no,
soldiers
I'm
put
not
gays
saying
in
all
concentration
Chechen soldiers,
camps.
but
Yeah.
no, there are officials who were involved in that fighting in Ukraine right now.
Which ones?
You know the one that you're like, Dylan, you liar, you've said this guy
Yeah,
died.
Zushayev,
That guy,
who's alive.
that guy,
Who's alive?
right? Yeah, you're saying he's alive.
You
that
liar, you
guy,
snake.
he
There's
specifically
literally
was
video
okay.
evidence that
I'm
he's
saying
alive.
okay. That guy, let's say he's alive. That makes your argument even worse.
Yeah.
That guy was involved in putting homosexuals in concentration camps.
Okay, I haven't seen any evidence for that.
There's tons of evidence for it. It's
Wanna
not
give
even
Jackson
it's
a chance?
disputed.
In case
I
you
have
had that
not.
quote, Jackson, I don't want you to feel left out.
Yeah.
So, Victoria Nuland, U.S. Assistant Secretary of State, estimated in 2013 that the USA had, quote, invested more than $5 billion in 1991 to help Ukraine achieve the future it deserves. Or sorry, since 1991. Since 1991.
So since 1991, they've been investing money to have the coup in 2014. Do you not
Yes,
think that the
because
Ukrainian
that's
citizens?
He said yes in 1991. Listen, they were playing the U.S. was playing the long game. All right, you're playing the long con. In 1991, in 30 years, comrade, it'll all come together. Wait, what was the opposition leader? Was he a Time Lord or something? Did he go back to the past and he's like, God, we need your help in Ukraine. We will, in the future, in 30 years time, I will need your help. Start giving money soon. We need it. Yes, Destiny.
Wait, understand the context of that year?
Wait. What was the quote again? Can you say it one more time?
Yeah, let's hear the quote again.
Since USA had invested more than $5 billion since 1991 to help Ukraine achieve the future it deserves.
What does that mean? How does that mean that they're achieving a coup? That could mean, hey, we're giving them money to help
Considering
Ukraine get better.
Victoria Nuland had leaked audio recordings
They didn't handpick. We've already talked about how that's bullshit.
Also, we saw that
He didn't
the National Endowment for Democracy's president said this about U.S. support. He said just 2 months before the Maidan protest broke out,
Are we the baddies?
that, quote, the opportunities are considerable and there are important ways Washington could help. And this was in reference to this was in reference to the coup. This was the president of the National Endowment for Democracy.
There's nothing
during the
specific.
Maidan
It's all
protest.
vague. It's nothing specific.
Yeah, well,
By the way,
here's a question.
Where did the $5 billion
money
go? By the way,
where did the $5 billion go? Yeah.
Where did it
So
go?
who received the money to start the coup?
Shift the
It's not the
goalposts.
goalposts. This
Wait,
is where we're at. We're in the middle of the field.
Shifting goal, but I hate my life, bro. You know what? I shouldn't have let people come into. We need to ban. You know what? We need to ban other streamers' names while we're streaming. I need to ban that in chat. Other streamers' names need to be banned in chat so people won't like distract me. I could be playing Elden Ring right now. I could have been happy, enjoying my life, bantering with chat. That's what I could have. But instead, we're here.
I know
Yeah,
about
you're
this because
shifting the fucking goalposts. You
Putin
read
said
the
exactly.
quote, now you're shifting the
Putin
goalposts
said
on
this
where it went.
specific thing, and the thing is, the $5 billion did
Bogart
not
King.
go anywhere near a coup aid or anything. The $5 billion went to
Where did it go?
Okay,
then, Dylan?
so I know I'm
Did it
asking
just,
you.
like, vanish? Did they just give
No,
it?
I'm
Did
asking
they
you,
give- did they
Jackson.
give
Jackson,
$2,000
you said the $5 billion.
checks to the Ukrainian
No,
people?
Jackson, you
Where
said
do you
it.
think $5
Jackson,
billion
you said it.
All right,
Where do you
gentlemen.
think
You
$5
said it,
billion
Jackson.
from the
Here we go.
US
Jackson,
State Department went?
Jackson,
So I hate to
you
do this.
said it.
Dylan,
You
Dylan,
said it. You tell me
I
what I
get it.
asked
You
you.
can pretty easily
What the-
logically infer that the fuck.
Okay,
Logically infer.
just to be sure that people can hear each of you make your point. So,
$1 billion. We are saying it did not go towards a coup. I don't see no evidence of this. This is something Putin repeated in his speech, which is a lie. So I'm asking you, since you referenced the $5 billion,
Yeah, I hope we're having
and you
fun.
have yet to show any evidence that anybody was handpicked, where did it go? Where did this $5 billion go for this coup?
Zelensky ate
I
it.
know you're a fucking dumbass and you can't put two and two together here. There is logically nowhere else the $5 billion could have gone.
So you don't know.
Except
You don't know.
it couldn't.
So, Jesse,
logically
Look at this.
speaking, it
What the
couldn't
hell is he doing? He's doing Scooby-Doo logic. What's happening? What is this Scooby-Doo logic that he's using for figuring out where it's going? As you can see, it must have went to the organizer planner. Whoa.
have gone anywhere else.
$5 billion from
Hold on,
1990.
let's
Wait,
give-
wait.
let's
Do you
give
know
it
the
a chance.
history of Ukrainian-American relations since 1994 to 2014?
Yeah,
You
Dylan,
really
shut the
think
fuck up. Let me
that
finish my
$5 billion
point.
couldn't have gone there in
unless
normal aid?
Jackson,
You
unless
don't think?
Jackson has something.
You don't think?
Yeah,
Jackson, I'll give you a chance so you're
so I
not
can
left out.
respond. Yeah, let him leave like a little.
Oh, you
bitch.
might be on mute, Jackson. Let me unmute you. I think I put you on there earlier. Okay.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
The Financial Times. You're right, Dylan.
He's
I
back.
don't have the exact bank wire transfers and shit. You're right. I'm just completely making all this stuff up. Financial Times.
Thank you.
reported that,
So true, bestie.
Groups like New Citizen received this funding, and they said that they reported that this money played a big role in getting the protests up and running, referring to the Maidan protests. This was led, of course, by Andrei Perubi, who's a
He's spitting
notorious
facts.
neo-Nazi within Ukraine that called upon the firing of protesters and police in the protests. There was one other point you made. It's slipping my mind right now, but yeah, I mean that sure, we don't have the exact bank wire transfers, but you can't entertain the fact that this all happened. $5 billion here. We have these phone recordings. We have all of this going on. We have Chris Murphy, John McCain, Victoria Nuland, Jeffrey Piot going out on the streets of Maidan, passing out
The thing
cookies
is,
to the
I can tell
protesters.
you-
He's doing the
Wait,
gish gallop.
let me
Oh
finish.
my
because
god, dude!
He's
It's just
talking.
million
Here he
precious
goes.
points. Like when
That
one
name
holds
of-
Can I get a quick people talk?
Throw a fit every time I get interrupted or you interrupt. So let me finish. You cannot entertain, or you have to entertain the fact, rather, that the fact that the funding began in 1991, 1 year directly after the effort upon NATO-aligned countries to bring Ukraine into NATO, that
There you
lines
go.
up perfectly with what the overarching mission at play here is of Victoria Nuland, to get the anti-NATO forces within Ukraine deposed from government, that's Yanukovych, and to get pro-NATO individuals in government to join NATO.
Gotta move it over.
So
Okay.
I gotta respond to that, because the thing is, the 5 is also 1 year after the collapse of the Soviet Union and Ukraine went into economic ruin. And the $5 billion is something Putin stated as well. That's referencing to the entirety of U.S. aid to Ukraine from that date to 2014. So you're telling me that the entirety of U.S. aid to Ukraine was made up of just going to coup stuff when you have no evidence, no financial documents, no transactions, no direct evidence of any sort, that any of that went towards resources towards a coup. It is reference to aid.
He named it.
No, he didn't. He named nothing.
The group. You left because you're a little bitch. You weren't here.
No, he didn't. So where did it go? Where did it go? And what did this group do that did the revolution? What did it do?
Helped organize the protest. It was
What the $5 billion went to what? What?
So I'm saying that Financial Times reported
Someone's
again,
phone's going
wire
off.
transfers. I'm not in these people's bank accounts. I'm just saying it's a little bit suspicious
Fucking
that we have
suspicious.
Victoria Nuland saying that we have $5 billion going to Ukraine since 1991.
I love people talk.
Victoria Nuland's office happens to be the same office in which the National Endowment for Democracy is located. They share an office in Ukraine. We have Financial Times reporting that New Citizen received some of this money. Sure, probably, definitely not all $5 billion of it. And it just so happens that these protests, which were Western backed, and we know, according to this phone call, they were at least sympathetic to the leader Yatsenyuk, who became the prime minister directly after the protest. This stuff all lines up, and it just so happens.
I gotta respond. Okay, so we haven't established a single fact. We literally haven't established a
Please, Lord, save me.
We haven't established a single fact.
So we've established so many facts.
Okay, so all we've seen,
I have the fact right here.
all we've seen is that
Since
since
in
1992, after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the United States and Ukraine signed a bilateral deal with the United States to send aid to Ukraine to help them for a variety of things. They identified 3 strategic objectives. It was to create a broad-based market economy, to help build a participatory democratic political system, and to assist in social sector reforms to ease the difficulties of transition. That's where the money went towards. The governments themselves were the ones that were organizing and receiving the aid. The idea that you're trying to pretend that this $5 billion that's been allocated since 1992 somehow went through black market channels, if it did, then we wouldn't be talking about the $5 billion that the United States said that it sent. This would be black money or dark money that's going through other channels that you wouldn't have any idea about. Or rather, it would have been established by like a WikiLeaks leak or something like that. The idea that official U.S. aid that was agreed upon by the Ukrainian government, that it was going to end up in the Ukrainian government, and then somehow the leaders in the Ukrainian government decided to allow that aid that they as a government agreed to accept to be funneled to groups that would eventually form a coup, is ridiculous. A lot of this aid was far-reaching. It wouldn't surprise me if you could identify one or two groups that were involved in protests or coups that received this aid. Yanukovych probably had a lot of personal friends and probably people in the government that received that aid as well. The idea that that aid was used to back some sort of coup because you have a recording with 2 U.S. diplomats talking about a preference in leadership in a relatively volatile country. I don't understand why you think you can link these 2 things together. I can tell you right now that the United States sends so much aid all across the world. I could probably find aid going to every single fucking country that's ever had a revolution, that's ever had a coup, that's ever had any sort of political turmoil, and find 2 U.S. diplomats talking.
Okay, so
expressing. Can I finish one statement? I gotta finish.
I totally don't know how we could link.
Someone needs to go back to look at the talking time. I swear, Dinkle and Haas they've been dominating the talking time. All they do is speak, and now they need a little bit of time. All these guys do is talk. Holy shit!
I have to finish a single statement.
Nothing else.
I have to finish a single statement.
So finally,
to be clear, so the evidence we have is that since 1992, the United States has sent $5 billion to the Ukrainian government, not to secret groups, not to protest groups, not to future coueurs. That the Ukrainian government itself okayed this bilateral agreement to humanitarian aid, and the only evidence that we have, let me finish. The only evidence we have that this went to fund a coup is 2 U.S. diplomats talking on the phone.
Please shut him up.
Preference for some leadership or failure of the EU to act on something.
Okay,
that's it.
Let me go now. Okay, because this is actually really fucking simple. So first of all, there's like many prongs to the fucking stupidity you just laid on my fucking table. Now, the first thing is that you actually contradicted your little friend Dylan here, because Dylan, the fucking liar, just sat here and said that the $5 billion was an economic aid to Ukraine. No, it fucking wasn't. Because Nuland herself, who publicly denies funding the Maidan coup, in the same sentence she utters denying it, said that the $5 billion since 1991 was there to promote democracy. And you know what that fucking means? It means promoting NGOs, civil society groups, and forces within the Ukrainian government that are aligned with the US. Now,
I think it really says something that democracy is such a dirty word. Democracy. Well, we all know that won't be making. Well, democracy, huh? Well, we all know democracy means that they won't be getting closer to Putin. Yeah, you're right. So true, bestie. The country having democracy does mean that they won't be getting closer to Putin, further away from Putin. That's true. They will become more Western. That's true. You're right.
This meme is very real.
So true, Marjorie. They won't be getting closer to Putin. He's not closer to democracy. Many people have
trying to
said
make
this.
this allegation. It's absurd that they would fund the Ukrainian government that's later going to be overthrown. The thing is, the whole of the Ukrainian government wasn't
Yeah, this is the omni-liberal guy, yeah.
overthrown. There are elements within the Ukrainian government that were against the president at that time. The coup was actually against the president, not the entire Ukrainian state itself. And even during the presidency of Yanukovych, before the 2014 Maidan, there was still a division of spheres of influence within the Ukrainian government between the Americans and the Europeans on one hand and the Russians. It was not a Russian puppet government by any stretch of the fucking imagination. It was still just as divided. And that $5 billion that was given to the Ukrainians since 1991 was going toward the forces that ultimately would culminate in the Maidan. Now, Jackson literally gave you a concrete fucking example.
I could give another too, Haas.
No,
I wanna- hold on,
of a group
Fine.
that
Okay,
received funds from this $5
Please
billion,
stop.
that
Stop him from
participated, that was pivotal for it helped organize protests for the fucking Maidan. So the whole
All right,
point
let's-
is that this $5 billion for regime change and democracy exporting that the U.S. was giving the Ukrainian government, which I reiterate, Bill the fucking liar claimed was economic aid when it was not.
Oh, really?
It was political.
So can I get a
influential
commitment
aid.
on it? Can you give me a commitment that none of this money went to economic aid?
No,
Give
no,
me-
you're shifting the goalpost.
Wait, no, I
You're
wanna hear the-
saying-
oh.
you're shifting the
Ah, here we
goalpost.
go.
Some of it
Dylan
may have
and
had
Jackson.
an economic
Okay.
component to it,
Hold on.
but it was primarily to promote.
Gotta finish up the
democracy.
sentence.
You
Okay.
made it
Go
seem
ahead,
like it was
Dylan.
I'm gonna-
primarily
okay.
about
So-
All right then.
Oh,
Dylan.
number one,
It was
that's
not.
not even
Dylan's been
true.
waiting a long
Okay,
time.
that's not
Yeah.
even true.
Oh, it's not
so
true?
yeah, number one, 1.1 billion of it went to economic growth. 2.4 billion went to things like military assistance, border security, human trafficking issues, international narcotics abatement, law enforcement.
That's true, and they're right next to Russia. They're gonna need a lot of border security.
Interaction. That's
I'll
the
let
majority
Jackson
of
take it away.
it. The majority of that is not promoting democracy. It would actually be labeled under promoting peace and security when you talk about things like human trafficking, which is a legitimate.
Then tell Newland
Let me
that
fin- let me
yourself.
finish. Let me
Please
finish.
stop it.
I'm just telling you the exact money amounts where it's going, and you're rejecting it. I'm telling you exact money. And the thing is about that human trafficking. It's after the collapse of the Soviet Union, there was a lot of issues when it comes to children being sold into sexual slavery. There was a lot of issues when it
Which
came
the CIA is involved with.
Hold on.
Okay,
Bro, he can't just keep screaming into his microphone, jacked up as loud as possible. Like
You want to cry about?
I'm trying. Okay,
Thank you.
So
Yeah, please.
Okay,
I
so
just-
back to the issue. This is why a lot of this money went to Ukraine. It went to things to deal with things like human trafficking. It went there to deal with economic aid after the economic collapse post-Soviet Union. Some of it, of course, some of it went to 800 million of it went to governing justly and democratically, and 400 million went to investing in people. We can get into specifics if you want to break that down, but there was no evidence in the $5 billion of the $5 billion, any of this going into black sites or anything of this sort. The majority of this money didn't even have to do with democracy necessarily.
It's just like, just thinking about it, these guys just don't care. Yeah. Also, I do wish that Modern stepped in more. I really wish that we got a little bit more moderation here on this one. We're gonna definitely need it. Woo! Useless Legs, thank you so much for the gift subs. Whoa, thank you so much. Hey, can I get a little bit of love for Useless? Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you. Appreciate you. And thank you. Hey guys, what do you guys think? Do you think that we should I think tomorrow's going to be small politic segment and big Elden Ring segment. What do you guys think? That we can I think we'll do a little bit of there's a couple of things that we still need to talk about. Yeah, a little smallitic. And then we can talk about and then we can go play Elden Ring, cuz I think you have no maidens. Well, I think that you're banned from chat. That shit's crazy. No forest fires in space. We talked about that today. I deserve a little Elden Ring as a treat, okay? Since my internet's been out for 5 days, I think I deserve to have a little Elden Ring.
We gotta go into Q&A shortly, but I know that Jackson.
Also, it's just like they just don't care, right? They don't care about truth. They don't care about what's real. They have their narrative and they're going to post hoc justify everything through that. Like, I don't think any rational human being can look at this and go like, oh yeah, those guys, they definitely like the Kremlin Gremlin and Moscow Manlet over here. I don't think that any of them, I don't think that anybody is going to sit here and say that like, oh yeah, they definitely won this, right? But they don't, I don't think that they care at all. I don't think it matters. Because no matter what's going to happen, they're going to go back and be like, oh yeah, dude, oh, it's so sick. Oh, we did so well. We really showed them. Oh, what Western expansion? We barely got to talk about anything, right? Like, this entire conversation has been bogged down by them like plucking, look, even though this is the least anti-Semitic country in Eastern Europe, especially with Russia being 3 times more Jew racist, that's what that means. Jew racist. Then Ukraine is. They're the real anti-Semites over here. They're the real ones who are terrible. Oh, forget about all of these actual Nazis that are a part of Russia and who are doing operations in Eastern Europe, in Georgia, in Crimea, in the Donbass. Forget about all of that. That doesn't matter because it's just like we just got bogged down in conspiracy. Like, unironically, debating these guys is like debating a flat earther. It's like debating a flat earther. It's like debating a Holocaust denier. Is always something there. It's always something that they can fill the gap with. It doesn't matter. This is their god of the gaps. Okay, Western expansionism, Western U.S. involvement is their god of the gaps. Okay, wherever they find there's an issue in their ideology, just cram the CIA, cram the US. It's their fault. Everything that they do is their fault here. All right, and that's what led to so many issues, and that's why Putin's pog, and that's why Zelensky is cringe.
This meme is very
and
real.
That's it. It's ridiculous. And the wild thing is that still the immortal tweet that I saw rings true even today, that these people like the Kremlin gremlin and the Moscow manlet over here, all right? These people, when it comes to the U.S. and the world and our views of the world being so U.S. centric, that even our commies can't escape them, right? Even these guys who claim to be big communists and anti-liberals, even they can't escape it. Even they revolve their entire ideology, and every single thing that happens in the world revolves around the US. It has to. Our involvement is there somewhere doing something that's the real pushing and pulling, and we're the ones that has done everything. There's no issue in the world that we do not have some incredible involvement in that has led to the detriment of this place. And the person who's doing some crazy fucking war crime is only doing it because we decided to stick around there for too long. It's our fault. It's us. There can be nothing that goes on in between individual actors of a state, of a region, that leads to them acting this way. Nope, it's all the US. It's the US. It's so ridiculous. It's so sad. Like, how do we even talk to these types of people? I saw someone say maybe people don't believe debates are real or worth anything because they always watch debates like this, which is true. It's just a flashy show of people trying to play a chess game against someone who's just shitting on the street. Actually, you know what? Not just shitting. It's worse than shitting. Because if they were just shitting, there's plausible deniability that they couldn't make it to the bathroom. All right, they're shitting, okay, but then they stop themselves from pooping, and then they pull down their pants and start like pulling, like dog butt scooching across the floor, and then using the shit as like a little magic marker to draw a picture of Putin, and then they go, look, he's based, and that's what we're looking at right now. Dinkle's cam stops working again. Poopin'. Yeah, Vladimir Poopin. What am I Dinkle, are you okay? How much money do these guys get?
You're a little bitch.
Is that how he sounds on their end?
There's nothing to you're a little bitch. There's nothing to cope about. If you start talking to someone about fighting and then you bitch out, you are fucking Karen. You are a fucking pussy. If you are 1 feet away from
You're a fucking bitch. You have Uno. It comes on every single Xbox. Every Xbox has Uno. What's wrong with you? Open it. You have Uno. You have Uno. I have the oldest Xbox known to man. I do not have Uno. Honestly, yeah, just slamming the mic down his throat. I don't even know if that sounded as bad as he does right now. Because at least I have like some anti-peaking going on my microphone. But like, damn, this is just incredible. This is an incredible sound.
You're a little bitch.
He's using the same microphone as me. He's using a Blue Yeti. Wait, did my microphone even sound as bad as this just then?
You're a little bitch.
Wait, new soundbite.
You're a little bitch.
Can't even understand what the fuck he's saying.
There's nothing to cope about. If you start talking to someone about fighting and then you bitch out, you are fucking Karen. You are a fucking pussy. If you are 1 feet away from someone and you start talking about how you want to press them to see if they're a man to fight them, and then when they fucking call you bluff, you become a Karen who tattletales, then guess what, Dylan? Your whole fucking manhood is forfeit.
Destiny offered $5,000 for you to do it.
$5,000 is less than what I make this month, you stupid fuck.
Yeah, because a war started and you got all your RT support.
I made 5,000 every month before you're a little.
Dude, $5,000 every month. Just so you know. Wait, do I make five? I don't think I make 5,000 a month. I don't think I make that much. Well, actually, I don't know. I'll have to like think about. I don't look at my numbers very often, but like $5,000 a month is enough for you to get like. He doesn't have an editor, does he? At least I have a greedy editor that I have to pay. I don't know, man. Like, you have enough to buy good audio.